This is your first day. Your designation will be RP-01/138. We expect great things from you. You have been born into dangerous times. A sharp mind can be the key to survival. But as often as not, it will be your inherent physical traits that win the day. And in this regard, you will be superior to your more common brethren. For you are a commando, an elite unit, something truly special. Your weapons, your armor, and most importantly, your brothers.
All right then, listen up.
Delta Squad, form up.
Forming up, boss.
What up, my fellow Republic Commandos? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel, and we are live in a galaxy far, far away. As always, I have to bring in the best co-host and Sith sympathizer I could ever ask for. He is the one that believes Obi-Wan gave up too soon. His name is Darth Super Bro Corey. How's it going?
General Kenobi.
General Kenobi.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. I was so excited. I watched this episode on Wednesday and then again this morning to kind of refresh my mind on things. And there's a lot to talk about. It was action packed. There was a big cameo that I think is leading to some pretty big stuff. You know, it's this was a good one. This chapter 21, The Pirate, was fantastic. It is wonderful to be here with you guys once again this Saturday morning, just talking about and nerding out about Star Wars, especially The Mandalorian, which it's been a solid season. You know, different things that I feel like we're getting a lot of great setup. It's not quite like how Andor was setting things up for, you know, and it was kind of slower pace. Mandalorian, for the most part, has been pretty action packed. It's had a lot of quick energy to it that's kind of helped propel you forward, to not feel like things were dragging a little bit. Even though Andor was great storytelling, this is great storytelling with some energy, which I appreciate. Guys, as always, Remember, if you want, you can follow us on our social media pages like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at _Bat channel. This is a wonderful way to get in touch with us, to let us know what you guys are excited for. Maybe some of the things we missed in today's breakdown, Easter egg theories review, or maybe some of the things you guys want us to talk about for future episodes. DM us. We want to hear from you guys, even if it's about your life and just like, hey, you went to, I don't know, Star Wars Celebration, and we would love to hear that. Or you went to Comic-Con and met someone from the cast of one of the Star Wars shows. Anything. We want to hear from you guys. Help us build this community all the way through. And if you're still on Facebook, at Holy Bat Channel, that's another way to follow us. So many different avenues to hang out with the Bat Channel. Or another great way to support us, the simple things to help the YouTube algorithm. Smashing that like, sharing this video, subscribing if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Guys, I can't tell you how important it is, especially for my replay crew who's watching later. Share this video. Get your friends involved. The more people we have in the chat, the more fun our discussions are. It's a great way to kind of just hear from everyone so we're not getting the same opinions about things, because sometimes you may agree with us most of the time, but we also like the ones that maybe are like, nah, I didn't like this because of this, or no, you're wrong, this was great because of this. Let's have that discussion. I love that stuff. And plus, we can't build this community without you guys. It starts with you. We just provide the great content. So
I'm censoring somebody today.
What's that?
I'm censoring somebody today.
You're censoring somebody today?
Yep.
Oh, is it me?
No, not you.
Hurtful.
Someone who betrayed away.
Someone who betrayed the way.
Betrayed the way.
Corey's gonna have to explain that one later, but absolutely, guys. So if you want to support us a little bit more too, super chat. Super chat goes a long way in helping our channel grow, and not only that, for the quality to improve. Super chats, we'd like to play a little fun clip to say thank you to you guys. Our super chats go back into the equipment, our StreamYard service, all the good things that help us keep running. So super chats is where it's at, especially if you have a question that you guys want us to highlight or a comment. Make sure it's appropriate, of course. But super chats, my people, how I feel about y'all. Thank you, guys. Now, Corey, before we start saying hello to everyone in the chat, which I see a lot of people are going off right now, which is awesome. It's making me happy. Let's go ahead and bring in our Delta Squad team today. Orkin Beans 14 couldn't make it. He's at a wedding this week, and I think he has something else going on next week. But never fear, the Delta Squad is still strong. We bring in hot members to get this thing fired up. And of course, we're going to bring on a guest that you have seen here before. She rocks it. She's one of our valued members, and it is the Retro Nerd Girl. How's it going, Retro?
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
I am really good. I'm really jazzed about this episode. So let's go. Yes. Delta Squad, form up.
Love it. Retro, you've been killing it over on your channel lately. I watched your Action Stars again, talking about some of the greats from the 70s and 80s, and some who kind of trickled over into the 90s.
I'm continuing that list, and we got a couple more to go. I think I'm going to stop at about 2005. Just give some recognition to some more modern action stars.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious to see who as it gets more modern, because I feel like the 90s and kind of what you've showed on your different streams, the 90s, we had kind of probably like the last like big action star films with like Bruce Willis, Keanu Reeves, even back then, and Keanu Reeves kind of resurfacing with the John Wick films. If you haven't seen John Wick 4, YouTube people, we have a non-spoiler review. If you're kind of on the iffy side about it, watch it. Let me know if it changed your mind about going and seeing it. I will tell you this, it was awesome. Fantastic.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Corey, you're saying Batan is a traitor. Oh, okay, that's who you're talking about. I was wondering. Let's go ahead and bring in our next Delta Squad member. You've seen him here before, ladies and gentlemen, the Savage Bat.
Bam!
Yo, what's up,
Savage Bat?
Savage.
How's it going?
It's going great, man. How have you been?
Yeah, good. All good. Weather's starting to get a little bit better in England. Well, for England anyway.
That's good. Yeah. I know here in Colorado, and I know for you, Corey, it's been snowing today. The last few days, it's been like extremely windy. It's just been nonstop. How's the weather been for you, Retro, over in Dakota, South Dakota, right?
North Dakota,
North Dakota.
it's been we earlier this week it was below zero, and we managed to get up to 19 at some point, and then we had 30-degree weathers yesterday, so that was really warm. So let's hope it's not warm enough to snow again.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Colorado, hey, it's opening season of baseball again. The Rockies have won the last two. Good job, guys. Please give it up. Let's actually give it a shot this year. It's always the Dodgers, not this year.
Hey,
Please.
Oracle Clock Tower.
Hey, Oracle. Corey, speaking of, let's go ahead and see who's all in the chat today.
Yeah, we got Demaine Stokely in the house. Let's go.
What's up, Demaine?
Koj, LFG,
Yo.
Trevor H in the house. Can't wait for this. Episode 5 was fire. Oracle's Clock Tower in the house. Brother, good morning.
Hello.
Yo.
That guy's not here. Jordan Beth Barham.
Ooh, hi.
Jordan
Hey,
Barham.
Jordan.
Jordan Barham.
How's it doing, Jordan?
Good to see you, buddy. We got Red Hooded Outlaw in the house.
Woo!
Trevor H here. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse guy. Bat Fanatic. We said Oracle's
What's up,
Clock
Bat
Tower. Red Hooded Outlaw gave it
Oracle,
Vode
what's up? Yes.
And I think, Koj's here. Yep, Jordan's here. I think that's just about everybody.
Just about everyone. Not one person.
No. That's everybody. I'll address it. He's a traitor. Okay, so I decided Obi-Wan did not give up. I do not stand with Anakin Skywalker, and the Sith are in fact the bad guys.
Liar!
Corey,
From a certain point
you
of view.
just got Corey.
Traitor!
Hold on, Corey, I'm going to play you something, and you're going to understand why you're wrong about Bat-Dan here, okay? Ready?
It's a trap!
What's today, big fella?
Yeah.
April
Oh, it
Fools.
is April Fools.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You just got schooled.
That's a good one,
That's
Batman.
funny.
That is good. Yeah.
I did a Star Wars post on Facebook today, actually.
Oh,
was,
yeah, I think I did see you post something like that.
I tried to admit I was wrong. Star Wars: The Last Jedi is the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. Leia flying through space is the greatest scene in cinema history. I love it so much, I'm going to get a tattoo of it on my back. Yeah.
I forgot today.
I think it'd be a great tattoo on you, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Today was March.
Leia, eyes closed.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, it's so great to see everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out. Like I said, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. You've shared this video. Get your friends involved into the chat because we got a lot to talk about with chapter 21. We're past midway now. Episode 5 of season 3 of The Mandalorian, titled The Pirate. Oh my goodness, was this just a fun episode. Guys, I just want to dive right into this, and let's just go. You guys ready to go? Let's do this. Let's just do it.
No,
like
not
a
ready.
Banthar. Let's just ride this one out. What's that, Corey?
No, not ready.
You're not ready? Are you now?
Yeah, yes, I am. Thank you.
Anyways, Corey's struggling today.
Yes, I am.
But
It's lagging big time, big fella.
is your video lagging? It might be probably the weather, right? I know mine was
Mhm.
sucking last weekend. It was partly because it was snowing. But let's go ahead. Corey, can you go to our first slide of the pirate episode? Okay, so we go back to Navarro, and we're seeing the High Magistrate kind of starting to, obviously, the city, as we know, it's been rebuilt. And it's doing much better since the days of Moff Gideon and the Imperial overrule still. And you kind of hear the High Magistrate. He's kind of talking about what they want to do next, like to help improve the city. But hey, he starts to hear a commotion outside. Chaos is stirring in the streets of his town, and he sees a giant shadow of a ship overhead, and it is Gorian Shard, the pirate king himself, and his cruiser there to basically shut things down, to start new management, because he hasn't liked the way his guys were treated last time. He thinks if they want to have a beer out of school, Corey, they should just be able to have a beer out of school.
I don't see why not.
You would, Corey. Obviously,
teachers probably would love that.
What do you guys think about the High Magistrates? He tries to pull a bluff with Gorian Shard by saying, like, we're part of the Republic now, the new Republic. You can't attack us because they'll get you back. Even after he made such a commotion that we're an independent, you would think that Gorian Shard wouldn't be fooled by this, but he's just trying everything he can at this moment. Let's do Retro, Savage, and Super Bro.
Well, yeah, I love the bluff. Gorian Shard really gives us a lot of information in this particular scene, where he kind of tells Grieve that they have control over a lot of they have the outer rim and the mid. They're reaching into the pirate nation is reaching into the mid rim, and that's like a really juicy piece of information. I think maybe detailing something coming up, to do with the new order and how it's formed, and also like just where this is kind of leading down the road towards the sequels. And I thought that Grief was very, he had used this really, skillful Lando type, tactic to kind of like deflect. And it's like, yeah, we're with the rebellion, and I'm not the rebellion, with the new Republic, and which is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
Couldn't be further from the truth. And it just shows that he's willing to lie if he has to do what he does. He's not a pure good guy. He's a good guy with a little bit of a little sketchiness to him, but it seems as if his intentions are in the right place. He really is looking after that town, and just even that setup of showing us how he's trying to build the town up is showing us like, hey, he's really thinking forward and ahead how to make this town successful. I have a lot of respect for him, and I was hoping that his tactics were going to work. I was also, don't mean to be long-winded about this, really I know that the pirates were upset at being kind of rejected or treated so poorly. But I also wanted to know what they really wanted. Like, what was their intention? Did they want the town to occupy it, or what was the true desire for wasting so much manpower to get at this little town?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of questions there, right? Like, why put in all that work just to create a Tortuga resort for them? Maybe it's just the reputation. If you're gonna deny them service or taxes, they're whatever they require, then you're going to be made an example of. It could be something as simple as that. But you bring up some really great points, and I think you're right. One thing that I see that Oracle and Red Hooded Outlaw brought up with Grief Karga is that he is. We kind of thought in the first episode that the pirates just kind of getting away seemed a little bit weird, and we were kind of like, is he like, was that just
working with them?
Yeah, was that just a diversion from for Din Djarin not to realize that he's actually still involved with some of these shady cats? But this scene in particular did show that he does care about the people, that he was going to stick with them until the end, and in a way he kind of led them to the promised land, and eventually on further into the episode. But yeah, you bring up some really great points. Before we get to Savage Bat, we'll go ahead and address Bat Dan's $5 super chat. First off, thank you, Batdan. You're still a traitor, I guess, because you believe Obi-Wan gave up. As you say, April Fools. Hashtag Obi-Wan gave up. Hashtag I stand with Anakin Skywalker. Hashtag Corey is right. Hashtag Count Dooku was right. Hashtag Mace Windu was at fault, and I will continue to tease Orc. My goodness, that is so many hashtags. You have a hashtag problem. Hashtag addicted. Anyways, Corey, can you play something?
We'll start displaying Batdan's comments again.
What's that?
We'll start displaying Batdan's comments again.
Okay, fair enough. Corey, can you play something, a little something to say thank you to our boy Batdan for that $5 super chat?
This is the way.
Yes, this is the way. Because that is the way.
I have that cup that you've got there. The Snyder Cup one.
Oh, yeah. I know. I needed some tea. I woke up this morning and I couldn't talk. I was like, I don't know. It was awful. So I had to get some warm, blue milk or something. But Savage Bad. What's your thoughts about this whole scene and how Grief is trying to kind of buy him some time and to maybe try to throw in a bluff to see if Gorian Shard will fall for it?
Yeah, it was good, and like people were saying in the comments, very, very much a Lando feel to his character, towards the end of the episode, we won't go too much into it, but it's kind of almost as if he wants the Mandalorians and wants Jin there as a part of his plan.
They'd certainly be a strong ally to have.
Having
not needing the New Republic.
Yeah, having the Mandalorians next door as your guard dog is pretty. That's pretty cool. And he's covering all bases, and I know he obviously does care about the people, but he's
very smart.
He's a smart one and a sly one. Yeah, he's definitely a bit of a hustler.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's kind of cool that he does play that Lando, role for this season. And he does it very well. Carl Weathers, he directed the last episode, and here he is acting in this one. He's killing it last few. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts, sir?
On how he was like, oh yeah, we have so many friends out here.
Yeah, about his bluff, and just like the overall scene, your general thoughts about him. Like we all kind of thought in the first episode, we thought he had alternative motives. I think is what someone said in the first episode, because it seemed unusual of how he was interacting with the pirates. But in this episode, it kind of confirms that, he really does just kind of care about the people while he's in a very prestigious position. That grants him a lot of power. It does seem like he has his heart in a good place for the town of Navarro.
I'm still a little confused by it all, because clearly he knows that how far away he's from the Galactic Republic and stuff like that. So it made sense why he wanted Mando to be the law enforcement of the planet, and because clearly they do not have a resistance plan. If anybody, and clearly they have pirates, stroll through there from time to time. So the fact that they haven't figured out like a military, some sort of defense system for their planet, especially how far outside of the outer rim that they really are, is kind of embarrassing in some ways. So I think that he resorted to anything that he possibly could do in this moment, which was to give a bluff, and hopefully that scared the pirates away. But
and I think one thing that I kind of noticed, especially, was it's kind of similar to what happened, in the Revolutionary War with the United States of America. After we defeated, Savage, Britain. The 13 colonies were kind of divided. They didn't want any rule over them. It was kind of like, hey, we just got rid of this. Like, we don't want a king. We don't want any government over us telling us what to do. And
execute order 17.
Yeah, and the Continental government kind of said, well, we kind of need some structure, we need some order, but you still had a lot of people resistant to it, like Boston was still very resistant to accepting any taxation, to the point where George Washington had to send some of the militia to shut down Boston from starting a riot again, because he was like, hey, settle down. So in a way, this is very much what's kind of going on with the New Republic and all the Outer Rim. Some of them don't want to be a part of the New Republic because it's just another empire, right? Just another government. So they're going to do whatever they can. And I think Savage and Retro, you guys are both right that maybe that was Grief's motive all along with having Din Djarin there as kind of the police. To maybe one day have the Mandalorians come back. And that's kind of their defense against any of these suspicious characters like the pirates. Mm-hmm. Corey, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So the pirates aren't screwing around. And in a way, this was kind of like, it was a great scene because it kind of reminded me of Curse of the Black Pearl when Captain Barbossa starts firing upon the townspeople. But it's kind of like crazy when you think about it. It's like, what's their motive here? Like, they're destroying literally this small town that's been rebuilt. Like, why do that other than to set an example of them? But of course, Grief knows at this moment he's backed into a corner. He needs help as soon as possible, to the point where he's willing to reach out to the New Republic, and he actually sends a transmission through his droid to Captain Carson Teva, who is on this other kind of like beach planet. I don't recall what they call what it was the name of that base that they had, but they had this little bar thing. And I gotta say, this next scene, I jumped out of my seat because I was not expecting it. We did get a very nice surprise cameo once Captain Teva gets the transmission requesting help on Navarro. And he gets a surprise rebel, ally that kind of gives him some good advice that he kind of takes to heart, where he's like, I'll just go send a transmission out to the New Republic to see if they'll provide support to Navarro to take out these pirates. And our surprise cameo was a character from Star Wars Rebel, the animated show, Zeb. Corey, can you go to the next slide, please? Good old Zeb. This was so cool. I don't know if you guys had the same reaction I did, but when I saw him and heard the voice, that it was still, I think is Steve Bloom is his name, Steve Bloom, who played voiced the character in the animated show and also voiced him here. First off, CGI, beautiful. They did a wonderful job on it. It was so cool to see him live action and to hear his voice. What was your guys' reaction to Zeb? But not only that, to expand on it, where do you think Zeb has been since Star Wars Rebels, for those that have seen Rebels, but also his words of advice that says, hey, don't send a transmission. They're backed up. They're gonna ignore it, to the point where, like, what does that say about the New Republic, and that the fact that someone's calling an SOS basically, and the New Republic is going to be like, let's start with Retro Nerd.
As somebody who did not see the Rebels show, but I know like everything about it, I did not have the same reaction as a lot of people did, who were like, yes. But I understand totally, and yes, I'm familiar with the character. What he said was very important to know, like, where was he, so that way he knows that they're backed up. So he must have encountered this kind of thing before. And also he says that he's disappointed that Navarro didn't make it. And so how many planets has he seen that hadn't made it, that didn't make it? And so this is definitely setting up this sort of sad result of the, after the Battle of Yavin, like it didn't it didn't liberate everybody, it didn't help everybody to survive. And so it just kind of made me feel a little a little sad about that, but interested to know more. I just wanted to go back to Navarro and the attack with the pirates. Now, we had season 1 and season 2 to really develop a strong connection to Navarro, and we saw them at their beginnings, and then it was so nice to see that they had rebuilt that, had built that city in such a short amount of time, and which is a marvel in itself. But to see it get attacked like that was very, very disturbing to see. It had a lot of tension. Even though I didn't like that they were being attacked, I was just like, oh my God, that really pulled me into emotionally, as I really wanted to see them survive. And so I'm only guessing that so many people died because at the end, when they kind of go off to the side, there's only like about 40 or maybe even 50 people, maybe even less. And so a lot, like maybe thousands of people died. Because there wasn't that many people left at the end of the episode, so that was really heart-wrenching for me. And going to the character of Carson Teva, I love this character so much. If they hurt a hair on this man's head, I'm gonna lose it. He is like, he's got a heart of gold, and I just do love the fact that he senses something weird going on, and he is going after the truth here. And just also, listening to Zeb's words and taking it, to heart, and seeing what he can do. With what he can to try to change something, to try to do something. He's just one guy, but he's trying, right? So I do love characters like that, and I love seeing that in this episode.
Yeah, I agree. And as Red Hooded Outlaw said, a man of integrity, and especially this next scene that he kind of has, it definitely shows that he has integrity more than some, which is kind of weird thinking, and it just shows that complexity that kind of Star Wars, the original trilogy, didn't really have. It was the good guys versus the bad guys, and as we started to slowly see with the prequel trilogy, and then kind of went in with all the TV shows that they did, it gave the rebellion, the Republic, a little bit of complexity that maybe it's not so black and white. Which is heartbreaking in a way because of the innocence that you used to view it as a kid, but in the essence, it's the truth of how probably that would have gone down. So great points all around, Retro. I really appreciate that. Savage Bat, my man, your thoughts about seeing Zeb and kind of his advice to Carson Teva.
Yeah, well, obviously it was great to see Zeb, really exciting moment for Star Wars fans. And I see Jordan put in the comments there, the CGI was really well done. I think they're going to be hard pressed to get a lot of footage with him in, but hopefully they'll do more. And and he's what he said to I forget his name now, the X-Wing pilot. Carson, yeah. About the New Republic not answering the call. It's obvious that they're not doing a very good job. They showed a little bit of that on Coruscant, where everyone was a bit like, they didn't even really care whether it was the Empire or the New Republic, and it's just showing the cracks in why it all falls apart. I hate to reference the sequels, but yeah, it's heading that way.
Yeah, no, it does, and I know you guys have heard us say it a lot. I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy. A lot of us on the panel aren't. It seems like, yeah. I think in a way, and I wasn't expecting them to retcon the sequel trilogy because they all made $1 billion each. They weren't going to do it.
Oh, also as well, the planet where Zeb and Carson was talking, that's very much like. the beginning of Apocalypse Now in Vietnam. Nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah.
It's
And MASH too.
Yeah, in MASH.
Yeah.
Really, reflected that look.
Great references, guys. Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that.
Reference,
Vietnam, Revolutionary War. Now we're just missing World War II. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But the pirates thing as well was very Pirates of the Caribbean. I know it's made by Disney, so it's obvious, but there was some real Pirates of the Caribbean feel to that.
Yeah, and I think it's okay that they did that. I mean, it is Disney, but I think in a way, Star Wars has always been a resemblance of something, a space western, a space opera, and now you got this space pirates film, which makes sense, right? Like the Clone Wars, almost every episode was kind of referenced or based on a movie or some form of pop culture entertainment, like Indiana Jones, Aliens, Godzilla, even at one point. They did all that kinds of stuff. They even did like a zombie kind of thing going on. So I mean, it's Star Wars. That's how they do it, and it's cool. I love when they do that kind of stuff. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts, sir?
So obviously I'm one of the ones on the squad that hasn't seen all of Star Wars Rebels. I've seen bits and pieces when you've watched it at the house, Trey. So the character was familiar to me, and I recognized him. It was more of a Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like pointing at the TV with a beer, like I know that guy. It wasn't necessarily me jumping out of the scene. I was like, this is something that we're going to talk about. It was really cool to see that they are doing a fantastic job with that, bringing Clone Wars Rebels to life. Bo-Katan and Zeb now, and just different characters that we've seen in the animated world being brought to life is it's making my day.
It adds what made Marvel so successful with the connectivity. Now you're getting that through Star Wars, and it really
makes it more exciting,
And now what it's going to do for people who haven't watched Rebels is they're going to go back and watch that show. I mean, that's the beautiful part.
Absolutely, because with these Delta Squad streams and everything like that, I've always been one for the live action stuff, and I never ever really considered watching the animated Clone Wars or anything like that. But when we saw Tales of the Jedi, I was like, holy cow, this is what the animated series are like? I guess I need to start watching them. So I have been watching the Clone Wars, but obviously I'm starting from the beginning. So into season 2 now, but have a lot more to watch before I get to the Rebels. I'm trying to go in order. So I actually started with like the prequel movies, and now into the Clone Wars, and we'll continue to move forward. But yes, I am watching it, and I am excited to continue to see these references like Ahsoka, big one there. So
absolutely, and that's partly what's exciting. And I'm glad we brought up the connectivity with Zeb, because I think clearly they're setting something up that's connected to Rebels, because in the very first episode of Mandalorian, you got the first connection, which was the space whales, and then Bo-Katan returning, the Black Saber storyline, which happened in Star Wars Rebels, the Death Watch and all that group.
Well, the first one was when Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn.
And Ahsoka with Thrawn.
That was the first proper reference, really.
Absolutely. There's been so many things leading up to, and I'm hoping, and this is just me maybe talking out of my mouth, I guess you could say, but I'm hoping that they're not like using Mandalorian in a way that kind of like what Mandalorian was for Book of Boba, where they were Book of Boba was really just setting up Mandalorian season 3, and I hope Mandalorian isn't being released in a way like where it's just a supporting show, because Ahsoka is going to be kind of the leading show going forward. I hope that's not what
they have to pass the torch, though, Trey.
I know,
and this is a great way to do it.
It is a great way to do it.
Pretty much the plan. That's what it looks like it's panning out to be.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't get to like one of those scenes where like no one cares about. Like, because in a weird way, this season has also kind of the focus has been Bo-Katan more than Din Djarin, which has been kind of interesting. I'm not against it because it's been good storytelling, I feel like, but it's been weird because you look at it and it's like Din Djarin was our guy from season 1 to season 2. In a weird way, I feel like we're kind of rooting more for Bo-Katan to kind of get some redemption and to lead the Mandalorians to greatness than we are rooting for Din.
That's a great observation, Trey. Because I was full on Din Djarin and Mandalorian, and I've totally flipped a switch this season, and I'm full on Bo-Katan is the way. So I see what you're saying there. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I do like what they're doing with her. I just wish they had been a little bit more careful to add Din to the conversation. I mean, he's so passive, and we don't know anything about what his goals are, what his dreams are. We don't know what he's working towards. So it just we have so little of him in this season, as far as that they could have added with a few more scenes of conversation. And I think that's what's missing for me, because that is really what I fell in love with. I did fall in love with Din and Grogu, and I think a lot of people were expecting to see that, and the viewership is definitely reflecting that. That a lot of people are wanting the Din Djarin from season 2 and 3. I'm sorry, 1 and 2.
Yeah. Great points. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And like I said, I'm not like completely against it. I know some people are really like, why is Bo-Katan like the focus here? Why is it not Din and Grogu? And it's just like, well, there might be a reason to it. Like I believe just of how good the storytelling has been for season 1, season 2, Boba Fett, 2.5 Mandalorian. Yeah. I have a feeling it's being done for a reason, and we'll see where that comes.
It's gonna. I think it's obviously going to be leading up to some sort of Avengers crossover type thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Where
like a big,
like Ahsoka, Luke, the Mandalorian, or the Mandalorians, should I say, all kind of turn up for this massive fight
that sounds wonderful.
Moff Gideon thing,
or Thrawn,
Thrawn, yeah. It would probably both, both.
I like Oracle's.
Have faith in Favreau.
What's that, Corey?
Have faith in Favreau.
I do. Filoni and Favreau, they should be running Lucasfilms. I'm just going to say that. Oracle's Clock Tower has a great question here. Is anyone surprised Zeb wasn't with the Ghost crew? So they're talking about the main crew that is in Star Wars Rebels with Hera, Sabine, and all those guys, even Ezra. I'm a little surprised that he's not with them, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's we kind of saw at the end of Rebels, they kind of suggest where Hera and Sabine are going to be, and Zeb wasn't with them, so that could have just referenced that Zeb he got really involved with the Rebels team, and it makes sense. And I believe Noel, first off, sorry, Noel, is
Noel in the house.
Good to see you.
Hi.
Noel, it's good to see you, brother. His artwork, guys, that he's doing for issue 3 of Dreamwalkers, looking fantastic. But more importantly, the new T-shirt campaign that he's making for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention with Skywalker the Jedi, who's been on our show before. My man. I got chills when I started to see the artwork last night. I was like, it's looking so good. Noel, you are a go. But I loved your comment here. And this is true. Chewbacca, Zeb's design was the initial concept design for Chewbacca by Ralph. And that I have seen that. And it's like, that was pretty cool that they found a way to kind of make a new species out of it and throw it into Star Wars Rebels. And Zeb is cool. He is kind of like Chewbacca, but he's more articulate and
does he speak English?
What's that?
Laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Well, no, not simply because he can speak English, but he is highly educated. He's very well trained, and he's not just the muscle on the team.
Wookiee is not well educated?
Chewie, I mean,
you.
well, I
How
mean,
dare you?
if he was, Chewbacca wouldn't have to pull the arms off of people, when he loses at certain games. But yeah, some great observations all around. But it was great to see Zeb. Just a really cool moment for Star Wars fans, and I think it is leading up to something big. Oh, Corey, pull up that comment from the Butler about maybe they are setting up that. This is cool. You might be right about this, the Butler. Let's see. Maybe they are setting up for Bo-Katan to die and Din having to take the lead. You could be right about that, Butler. Maybe they are, like, they're putting her as the chosen one of the Mandalorians, and this time she fails, and it's kind of that same theme for Luke Skywalker. He never really asked for that, that leadership. It just kind of
it would be a shame though for them to kill Bo-Katan. I really feel like they should be working together.
I agree.
Especially because the Mandalorians, they have had so many civil wars in the past and arguments, disagreements amongst themselves. It would be great to see them finally come together, and really show the galaxy exactly what they're capable of. And like they could be, galaxy rangers, people who are called upon to help fight against some of the tyranny or the pirates that are taking over all of these planets. So, the pirate nation. Which I'm like curious about. Okay, show me the pirate nation now.
I'll be curious to see if they do bring in some more characters. There's a certain Star Wars pirate out there from Clone Wars and Rebels that it'd be cool to see him return.
I don't see this happening. Like, how do you let Bo-Katan fail again and die? I'd be really shocked.
In a way, it kind of just goes to show that her family was always destined to kind of lose their right to power. I mean, her sister was murdered.
It would be a huge mistake, though. That's also why Boba Fett couldn't stay dead, and so many other characters just can't stay dead because there's too many people that love these characters. I mean, her toys or her 6 scale figures are just flying off the shelves, so to speak. People are buying so many of those figures. That's a lot of money on the table. They are just going to set on fire if they kill her. Even though it's a compelling storyline for for other franchises. This is Disney Star Wars. They they want to sell merchandise.
They try to get rid of Grogu and made him bring him back.
Right, yeah.
So it's like
toy sales down, got to bring him back.
Yeah, no, Katie Sackhoff, the queen of sci-fi. I mean, what a career in science fiction. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
I agree.
That'd be such a waste.
Yeah. Well, I would say the queen is actually Sigourney, but
oh yeah.
Well, yeah, especially with Avatar.
You could call her the Empress.
The Empress. She's the queen sci-fi.
I can see them more like, as we've seen so far since Dan and Bo have become together. They are a power couple, and not necessarily like love relationship power couple, but they work together extremely well. Yeah. So I could see that, she unites him. He maybe has the Darksaber, but I still don't think he technically earned it. So I would like to see who ends up with a Darksaber.
Well, we will certainly talk about his role and especially his leadership role in a moment, because there is a scene that I kind of I thought it was very interesting, and I was wondering if they were doing this to propel it a little bit forward. But as Noel says, it would be dope to see Boba join in with his big pet when all the Mandalorians are united. With the Rancor, or do you mean I know from the original Star Wars cartoon that they did with Boba Fett when he was on top of that dragon dinosaur thing. I don't know. Maybe that was a reference kind of to be the mythosaur back then. I don't know. That'd be interesting to see.
I agree with what Noel said here, by the way.
If Din Djarin is Star Wars Iron Man, we all know how Endgame ended.
Oh,
This is what I think is happening. I completely
You know what Noel's saying right now? Noel is like,
Do it.
I think
I think that's highly likely that that's going to happen.
I mean, if they did that at this point, it would be a mistake. They have to really insert a little bit more of his character in the role right now, and bring the fans back to where they were with him maybe last season. This season, it's just I don't know where he is in this in the scope of things.
See, David Bowie's Wookiees are smart.
Well, Wookiees, I'm not down. You know, I love the Wookiees. I'm not downgrading them. I'm just saying, you know. But Corey, let's go ahead and go to the next slide as Zeb instructs Captain Carson Teva to go face to face with the New Republic to get help and support for the pirate regime that's trying to take over Navarro. Now this is where it gets really freaking interesting.
Yeah.
So we have this freaking Colonel Tuttle, who is about the most worthless colonel you could ever ask for. This scene upset me greatly because it just showed you this is exactly how we lose the new, like everything we fought for in the original trilogy. This is how it all came crashing down to where nothing changed, nothing was done. You know, it's new management, and that's all it was. And to hear them kind of talk about, like, well, here, like, let me see what's going on out there. Navarro, I don't even know where that's at. Are they even a part of the New Republic? Oh, they're not a part of the New Republic. Well, then they don't really matter because they're not a priority. Yet, who's getting attacked right now? You're hearing rumors of the Empire sticking around. Why aren't you going after them? And it seems like the whole New Republic is in this stance. And in a way, kind of throwing more U.S. history here. In a way, it's a lot like how the U.S. handled the Taliban and the battles in Afghanistan and Iraq, where, it was kind of like people were tired of fighting, even though kind of the mission was done. We got, some of the head guys, and then it was like everyone wanted to go home. And in a way, when we kind of backed out and said, okay, we're done here, another group took over and kind of caused more problems. It was all that kind of things that, in a way, if you didn't just like kept on mission and kind of got rid of all the problems.
Very similar. 20 years of fighting for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it very interesting of just how like real life versus the sci-fi fantasy that they're getting into. We're seeing it all happen in this fantasy world, and we know where it's going. We're like, don't do it, get them. What do you guys think about this whole scene with the colonel telling Captain Teva that, like, hey, like, we're not going to worry about this, like, and to have one of the characters return from episode, I think, was it 3? I think it was episode 3.
Episode 3.
Kane, she shows back up, and we can tell she has these guys wrapped around. She is the puppeteer.
She gets on nerves.
Oh, right. And it's so great because you can tell she's doing exactly what wants, what needs to be said to make it sound like she's a part of the group. She's saying it all. She's infiltrated
the New Order. It's insane.
And Corey, I know you had talked about how that was a mistake of the New Republic, that they all should have just been arrested for their war crimes. Well, or Corey went a little more brutal with it, but
it should all be destroyed.
Nonetheless, to have them integrated to make them a part of the New Republic, in a way, they're kind of seeing it allowed them to be infiltrated, because as even the captain brought up, he's just like, we don't even know where Moff Gideon is. He supposedly escaped, which is revealed later down, which we'll talk about. But general thoughts about this scene and all the craziness going on with it. Retro, let's start with you.
Okay. There's a lot to chew on in this scene. First of all, Colonel Tuttle is, for me, a throwback to Brazil 1985. where a character by the name of Tuttle was in that movie. And when you talk about bureaucracy, that's the first movie that really kind of turns the knob for me as like, that's a movie about bureaucracy and paper pushing and all that stuff. Even though the character of Tuttle in that movie was totally different, he was like a freedom fighter. In this story, Tuttle is a very, very what did I call him? I wrote some notes and I called him lazy and glib.
yeah.
And so I did enjoy it was hard to watch that character, but I did enjoy learning about this world and how this is what Luke, Leia, and Han sacrificed their energy and time on, trying to free the Empire, the world, the galaxy of the Empire, and we got this. And so it was like, wow, very disappointing, very upsetting, and I like that. It elicited a serious response within me of disgust. But I just loved Carson's stink eye he was giving Elia the whole time. I was like, yes, he knows what's up with this.
There was some great banter back and forth between them, right? When he was just kind of like, I would expect you to say that, being of Imperial mind. That sounds like a very Imperial thing to do, to let these people suffer so that way they'll join us, Yeah,
and here we have Tuttle that is like, he has the truth right in front of him. Carson's telling him exactly what's going on, and he's just like, I don't think so. And it just is kind of like when something happens, you see it one way and then somebody else sees it a totally different way. And you're like, why don't you see things, that I see? I see, the truth. And then the person is like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, it was very interesting to see that. And, Elia's mission is the way she gives Carson that look at the end was like, oh no, I was really scared for Carson. I was just hoping that she wasn't going to pursue him any further. So that's my fear, is that she's going to try to pursue Carson or track him or do something to sabotage him. But I think she did enough sabotage by having Tuttle kind of say, hey, look, we're not giving any help to any of those planets that haven't joined the New Republic. And her cold response is like, yeah, well, maybe they need to learn, that they should. I was like, wow. Her Empire blood was showing, and so her true colors, if you will. And so, I love this whole scene and the banter. It was a different pace. The pacing was different, but it was so needed to just give us that little inkling that Elia is actually working either for this cover up with Gideon, or she's also sabotaging any efforts to stop what's going on. So I feel like what's happening with Gideon and what's happening on Navarro with those pirates are connected, as well as the attack on Bo-Katan and her castle. Those are all like, where did the TIE fighters come from, and why were they there? Well, it seems like they were just waiting for her to show up. And so a lot of these isolated incidences are starting to mold together, that maybe one person is behind all of this, or one group is behind all of this.
Yeah. You bring up some great points, and I agree. Their banter was like great with each other, especially there's one line, and I just loved it because she was totally playing into it, where he's like, we captured you, and she's like, no, you liberated me, and then gives that fake smile that just, it cringes you because you just want to no, you punk, we know you're a traitor. It's a great scene indeed, and it's something's obviously going on, and I loved that Captain Teva was like, he's catching on. He's just like, if we don't do something, like, it's going to be too late. The moment we figure it out, that's the moment we've lost. And in a way, that's what they're doing, right? They're setting up for this whole rebirth of the Empire with the First Order, essentially. It's just maddening to watch. Savage, your thoughts about this whole scene?
Yeah, it was great. And this Carson, he was well on form, and the Ellie character, nothing against the actress, very well written, because like I said, she really irritates me every scene she's in. So nothing against her, it's just good storytelling, I suppose. But she's definitely dodgy, and poor her having to play such a horrible character, really. But it's great, and I think this possibly a collection between Moff Gideon and Grand Admiral Thrawn. Something going on there, something big going on behind the scenes, and whoever's around at the moment, it just seems to all point in the direction of Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah,
because maybe they're setting up ready for his return, or he's already back. We don't know. Yeah. I mean, in a way, it makes sense that Moff Gideon is definitely kind of one orchestrating, maybe for General Thrawn, because why? I kept thinking, why attack Bo-Katan's castle? And to me, it was like, well, actually, this makes kind of sense because she was there when Moff Gideon was captured. Yep. So he would blame her partly for giving Din Djarin the support. And obviously, they're going after Din Djarin to get Grogu. It makes sense that Moff Gideon has a vendetta against the Mandalorians, especially Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. So I don't know. We'll see. And maybe it could be very cool in a twist that if they make you think that Moff Gideon is the one pulling the strings, but he gets, like, I don't know, executed or whatever by Grand Admiral Thrawn, because Grand Admiral Thrawn is the one truly puppeteering, and he's disgusted with how he's run the Empire in his absence, to kind of show you this is the true big bad, something of that effect would be kind of fun. But go ahead. Oh, Moff Gideon and Admiral Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, were both really close with Darth Vader and the Emperor, and they know everything about everything. Because the Emperor was, and the Empire in general was very racist against other aliens being in the Empire, but the Emperor made it an exception for Grand Admiral Thrawn. So there was a special relationship going on between him and the Emperor. He was the Emperor's number one guy or whatever. Yeah. And, and you see that in the end, when Luke turns up at the season finale, Moff Gideon quite clearly is crapping himself, knows exactly who Luke is, knows about the Death Star, knows about everything. So it's really exciting that it's all leading up to, being properly connected to the original trilogy.
Well, one of the greatest moments from the end of season 2 of Mandalorian was seeing Moff Gideon's reaction when he knew exactly who was there on the ship, and he knew it was Luke. He was scared shitless. He
knows about Luke. He knows about everything.
Yeah. The legend was there. The person that in a way, they probably built him up to be this legend that single-handedly took down the Empire. You could tell Luke Skywalker is definitely a man that is greatly feared, especially in Moff Gideon's eyes, especially for how terrible of a person Moff Gideon. I don't think he scares easily, to have him freaked out when Luke showed up.
That was great.
Big deal.
A great bit of writing there.
Yeah. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about this whole scene, about how the New Republic is going to ignore the situation because they're not our country, not our problem.
Bro, this was infuriating to me. I was like so frustrated with all of this. Every little bit of the scene. So obviously what is the X-Wing fighter's name again, Trey?
Captain Teva.
Yeah, Carson Teva.
So Captain Teva, clearly this man is renowned, been through the battles, high-ranking, X-Wing fighter. Realizes that he can't just send a transmission to the fleet and to his to the ranking members to ask for help. He has to fly himself there to request for help for this planet. Now, it's the second he walks in, we get Tuttle, and just his, the actor who plays Tuttle, I can't remember his name.
Tim Meadows, I think is his name.
Yeah,
something like that. He's been in a lot. He's a funny guy.
He's a comedian.
Yeah.
He's with.
Is he part of Second City? He was in SNL, but Second City, the Chicago comedian group.
There's that, and he's in a lot of Adam Sandler's movies.
Yeah.
So the second I saw him, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go. They're going to try to make, the Republic look
comical, a joke."
Comical and a joke. Mm-hmm. So here we have him talking. Clearly, this agent, she sees something's going down and wants to investigate more. And she pushes her way into this meeting that shouldn't involve her in the first place. The captain looks down, sees her badge, that she is this new, return to the light, resistance member who's working towards a better and brighter future, saved from the Empire, whatever she said. And yet her voice was the loudest in the freaking room, bro. She controlled not just the general, but she was over talking the captain and pushing her way. She commanded that meeting. Now, he did a great job of firing back at her and saying, "No, this is not it. This is we need to do something." And she's, going back and forth with her manipulative ways. This person is a plant, and it's infuriating to me that the Republic has trusted this character, that has trusted these people from the Empire with this much authority, with this much influence on them, that it's ridiculous. And it kind of reminds me of the famous quote by Michael Hoff, where it's that line where it goes like, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and then weak men create hard times. And it's just like this constant cycle of hell. And that's exactly where we are with the Republican. We've bent to the enemies, and we've allowed for them to have a seat at the table, bro.
Yeah,
they have a seat at the table, and look what has happened. No help was sent. Let them suffer. Bro, that's how we're going to change people's minds to join the Republic? No, I don't want anything to do with this Republic.
Yeah.
And people are seeing that. And I just wanted to say that Elias is just one. How many more are there that they have allowed to come in and influence? So I don't think she's the only one. Yeah.
This is how nations fall.
Yeah, I really like the fact that Harrison's kind of had the view of me personally, of a kind of the audience view of why are we even entertaining giving these ex-Empire people any access to the New Republic? Like, what a joke. Why would you trust him in the first place? I thought that was really good, because it is a really silly thing to do. And it's obviously going to end in tears.
Right? Yeah, absolutely, man. This has been a phenomenal discussion so far. I'm loving that we've really been able to kind of pick apart, especially the hidden meetings, and kind of theorize what we think is going on and what we think this is leading to. I I love this, guys. I love this.
Yeah, and Corey, your response is your enthusiasm was very much felt by me. I was like, yes, what is this? What's going on here? Burn her with fire.
Right, yeah.
The only thing that the Empire should be trusted with is like cleaning toilets, mowing the ground.
Well, you know,
Exactly.
it's the wonderful details that, like, the fact that even Captain Teva was able to like look at her badge and realize she was from her Empire, and you realize his posture immediately changed. He felt no longer comfortable. He was now, in a way, he felt like he had to be on the attack, on the in the defense too. Of like, what is
I love that guy
here?
Yeah. So what's that show? I watched it a while ago where he's in a convenience store with his family. The TIE fighter pilot. I can't think what it's called. Yeah, it's a comedy show.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but
I'll think of it in a minute. I'll look it up.
I do love what someone said, the butler here. He said, the New Republic is a joke. The proof is in the citizens of the High Republic society. They didn't care who was in charge. We talked about that. I think, what was that, episode 3, where they were like, like Empire, right? New Republic. I forget, like, who cares who's in charge? As long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care. And in a way, it kind of goes to that one saying, Corey, I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's kind of like, first they came after these people and I didn't say anything. Then they came after these people and I didn't say anything because it didn't affect me. And then they came after these people and I didn't say anything. And then they came after me and there was no one there to speak for me.
Alone. Yep.
Yeah, I was all alone. So it's very much like you're seeing exactly, and I'm glad they are kind of giving us, because I know a lot of people had this issue with the sequel trilogy of not knowing how could we just let the Empire become this new powerful thing. And here you're seeing it now, and it's frustrating. I think it's always going to be a frustrating story because we know it's not like the Republic is going to fix this problem anytime soon. Just as kind of the Captain Teva, predicted it when we realized it was too late. The First Order was taking over.
Kim's Convenience story. That was the comedy show.
Yep.
That was really funny.
And Noel said it too.
That's it. Yeah.
The other thing that's really kind of gets me is why didn't anybody contact Luke, Leia, or to try to help in the situation? They were the ones who got them liberated in the first place. Why weren't they involved in these skirmishes or like sought out to help? Because they seem to be the ones that had the ability to do anything.
I get the sense that Luke kind of went off and did his own thing. Obviously, we know from Jon Favreau, it's been 2 years since he was training Grogu the Jedi arts, and we know at some point, because of the sequel trilogy, Luke is also going to try to train Leia at some point. So maybe she's kind of out there doing her own thing. I feel like a lot of the big guys, the heroes of the Republic, of the rebellion, kind of, they took their break. They kind of said, we did what we had to do. Now it's up to them.
And that's also a problem. I mean, I hate to blame them for that. I mean, they made a lot of sacrifices and did great, but disappearing, we need, they needed somebody. I'm saying we, like I'm part of the galaxy. They needed somebody.
You are part of the galaxy, Retro.
Yes. They needed some help, some structuring, or someone to guide them that had bigger. They needed a leader. And that's what this is missing from all this. You have all of these people who just think that they're going to be able to rationalize with former Empire people and just, hey, let's integrate them back into society. These guys tried to kill you, and so it's just very shocking to me how this all occurred, because this answers part of the question. It's still like, I know that we can come up with as many theories as we want, but it still doesn't make sense why Luke would say, like, figure it out for yourself. and
Yeah.
and Leia, like, I know she's around. What is she doing? And so that will have to be explained, to fans at some point.
Well,
Which is they kind of explained in the sequel trilogy, as least as what we were able to pick up on. Leia, at some point, she was with the Senate, but even she left the Senate because they were unwilling to do anything about the First Order. So she had to become part of the Resistance. And imagine that the Resistance wasn't even a Republic-funded, army. It was basically a militia.
Mm-hmm. And I get that totally. I think a lot of people do, but before the New Order, because at this point the New Order isn't officially a thing yet, right? If I'm correct.
The First Order, at least it doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't exist, but these skirmishes and planets being outrightly attacked and pirates taking over is like a real, is really happening. And to the point where they're backlogged at the at Colonel Tuttle's office, so they know that there is an issue. Somebody knows there's an issue. It's sort of like, okay, did they do anything, and where is Leia in this story? Where is and why isn't Luke a part of this too? That's all I'm saying is, where are our heroes? Did they give up on, or
well, in a way it's kind of like the old the famous Benjamin Franklin quote where they, when he got done with making the new republic of the United States, and people asked him, like, what did we get? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. So basically saying, like, we did our job. Now it's up to you to keep it, to keep this new freedom that we got you, and here we're seeing what the Republic did with it. Like, the Empire, while they were definitely the face of the problem, they weren't the root of the problem for the galaxy. Trevor H. Sorry,
shout out to Disney Plus in the timing of the Mandalorian season 3. I look back and obviously this scene frustrated me. It gave me Benghazi vibes. Asking for help, not sending help, and then looks what happens, and some rogue Mandalorians have to go in and try to save the day. Like it was infuriating in that sense, seeing what kind of like watching it, But what a great, well-placed season of Mandalorian 3, because we just got done watching Andor, and we saw the exact same thing happen to the Empire.
Yep.
The weakness that has come because they were living too good. And how many years has this been since the fall?
I think we're saying basically
9 years.
Yeah, it's like 9 or 10 years.
This is 9 or 10
it's
years.
9.
So
it's exactly 9.
It's exactly 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Mandalorian started 5 years after, right? The first season of Mandalorian was 5 years after the Battle of Endor.
I think that's what they said, but
okay.
I'm not sure if they changed the numbering, but this is supposed to be 9.
So think of that.
Right.
I wrote it down somewhere. 9 ABY.
Okay,
So think of that. Within
9 ABY. So that would put it, I think Endor happened at 3.
Andor was 5 years before Rogue One, wasn't it? Or A New Hope, rather, or both.
Andor takes place 5 years before Battle of Yendor. Sorry, Yavin.
If you think about that, we're 9 years since the fall of the Empire, and we're already freaking lazy.
I know. It should take like 30 years.
Well, especially, we do know there was the whole Battle of Jakku that took place after the Battle of Endor. So it's not like the Empire just went away after Endor. They were still around. They made one final push with a sizable fleet, and they lost that battle, but they were still out there. Moff Gideon was still out there.
It's wild. Absolutely wild
crazy
how quickly we've fallen.
Yeah, it's still upsetting. It really is. It really makes the first three movies feel like they're just, it wasn't for, it stopped like part of the problem, but it's like a virus that keeps growing, and never ending war. And I guess that's in the title, Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah, in a way, right? Trevor H coming in with that $5 super chat saying, "Fire discussion. This is the way." Trevor H, my man,
Thank you, Trevor
was
H.
coming in hot with that $5 super chat. And this is the way, good sir.
Corey,
can you play?
I'm gonna let you pick it this time.
You're gonna let me pick? Okay, I'm trying to remember the one you played last time, but
I played number 3.
Oh, number 3. Okay, well then this is for you, good sir.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Thank you so much, Trevor H. I really appreciate it, brother. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Obviously, Captain Teva is not going to get the help he needs, so he's going rogue at this point. Whether it would be considered traitorous that he kind of went off orders and did his own thing, but he goes searching for Din Djarin because he knows if there's one person that would probably be willing to help the people of Navarro and his friend Grief, maybe it would be Din. And he had an interesting way of tracking him. We now learned that R5 was actually it was mentioned in a previous episode back on Tatooine that R5 had served with the rebellion at one point. And I know it was kind of a dis-canon storyline where R5 actually was given an order by R2-D2 to basically explode so that way R2-D2 could go with Luke. But so there's that storyline, but nonetheless we learned that R5 is actually one that's connected still with the rebellion and used to work with Captain Teva, and that's how he was able to locate the Mandalorians. All while this is going on, the people of Navarro are homeless. They are tracking the desert, trying to find sanction and safety from the pirates because they're drunken up. They're treating it like Tortuga, just shooting it up like Tortuga. Good pirates. Tortuga. Why is all the blue milk gone?
No, they had some like vibrant green juice, and I was like, oh, hey,
oh yeah, why is the green juice gone?
Yeah.
Like who knows? But let's see. Batdan says here, Navarro is an independent system, not against the New Republic, so going to another third-party contact to save Navarro isn't really treasonous. Yeah, sure, but he's technically he is wearing a uniform of the New Republic that could be considered going against orders, because he's acting as a representative for them. But I don't know. Interesting case indeed, and especially with the infiltrators of the Empire there. I mean, they could make a case against him, I'm sure, especially him doing something they don't like. But what did you guys think about Grief Karga kind of saying, people are asking him, are the New Republic actually going to show? Like, are they actually going to be here? And he's just like, yes, he's fully confident. I get he's trying to comfort everyone, but he must know that the New Republic coming to save him. Well, I guess here's the bigger question to ask you guys here. What do you think was the people's reaction that it wasn't the New Republic that came to help them, that it was someone else? So do you think that's going to go over well in the future for the New Republic? Well, yeah, go ahead, Retro.
I think, I mean, they weren't really dealing with the New Republic and didn't want to really. It was like a last resort that he even did that. But he didn't really seem too surprised to see Din Djarin's ship. And so I was like, oh, so I don't know if that was a mistake or he just seemed to be like, oh, it's Din Djarin. He recognized the ship, and that was it. There really wasn't a response from any of the people. I think they were just happy to get some help. But you're right, like I was sensing when he was talking to the crowd, like, and that's a very proud moment I felt for the character, having grown so much from a bounty hunter wrangler to now leading a small group of survivors from his city. Now he's trying to maintain some kind of hope within the ranks of the people, and absolutely he did not know whether they were going to come or not, and he probably didn't expect the Republic to help, and so I'm really surprised. He specifically contacted Carson. And that brings up a couple of questions. Maybe something did not ring true. Maybe there was some contact with Carson directly off screen with Grief and Dinjarin, that they know that they're even friends. Because I'm like, how do they know each other? There really wasn't a scene to establish that. But I suppose, if they, turned in, they turned in Moff Gideon, maybe he was the contact. So I'm just like making that up, but that was kind of interesting to me. I was like, how do they even know each other? So yeah, it was a direct message to Carson, not to the Republic in general. It was to Carson to see what he could do. And Carson then, took, matters into his own hand. And I do believe he would get in trouble, but who's going to go tell? These are people who don't want to have anything to do with the New Republic because they don't feel they can trust them. And they're right, because the New Republic is being controlled and manipulated by former Empire insiders. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely see that, Grief is doing his best to keep that town safe as possible, but he's lying. He doesn't really have any clue what's going on.
How about you, Savage? What's your thoughts about how the people are going to react when he's comforting them, saying, "Oh yes, trust me, the New Republic is going to be here to save us," but it ends up turning out that it's not the New Republic. It's someone probably they honestly didn't expect.
Yeah. What you mean about the X-Wing pilot turning up to the Mandalorians, you mean?
Just the idea, like during that scene where Grief Karga was telling, the people were kind of, they're homeless and they're basically looking to him to, have the answers. And the fact that they were kind of, do you really think the New Republic is coming? And to have him kind of reassure them that, like, yes, the New Republic is on their way, and to see that they're rescued by someone who's not the New Republic, I think that reaction, I'm a little curious of why they didn't give us that reaction of why, of the people, of what they would have, how they would have responded that it wasn't the New Republic. I mean, obviously they're happy for help, but at the same time, clearly it's not the New Republic that's there to help them. No,
yeah, that's a good point. And that whole scene I thought was really, really good with the Mandalorians and the Carson, the X-Wing pilot, because not only are the Mandalorians very private, like warriors and stuff, they're a bit dodgy, and it was kind of like, what is the police doing here? And I thought that was really, really well done, because they done that he was kind of like a cop pulling over Jin in the early episodes and stuff. Yeah. And I thought the way that the Mandalorians reacted to him, like, shit, it's the police and the cops here. I just thought that whole scene was brilliant, and kind of sort of brought back some memories of when I was younger,
Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about what, or at least your theories about what the reaction would be to the people that are expecting the New Republic to rescue them and it not.
Say that last person in the question.
What would you expect their reaction to be, or like how they're going to go about it going forth? No, the people of Navarro.
Okay, I see what you're saying. What would be the reaction of Navarro finding out that the Republic isn't going to help them?
Essentially,
let them
yeah.
suffer. F the Republic, bro. That's how I take it. Honestly, it'd be one of those things like just kind of a certainty that I would be like, all right, we're too far outside the rim. They ain't really interested in helping us, so we're going to do our own thing. And by doing that, we're going to run our own shit. We're going to create our own military. We're going to create our own law enforcement. We're going to create these necessities that we need to live and not be attacked like this. And you know what? Luckily, we had the Mandalorians come to help, so we're going to build an alliance with the Mandalorians, as we see they do, and we'll find other routes and avenues for us to strive and survive as a community of Navarro. No bad taste in my mouth, let the Republic do the Republic. They better not show their face here because they ain't welcome. Yeah. Maybe that one guy in the X-Wing, he's welcome because he tried to help, but everybody else is a no-go. We're not going to allow for your taxation over here, big fella.
Yeah. And you brought up something, both of you, Savage and Super Bro Corey, brought up something that was very interesting. You can look at this as sort of like the Navarro as the slums of the galaxy, and so this is the area where the cops don't want to go. They don't want to, when people call 911, they're like, dang, we have to go out there.
Outer Rims, it's south of Chicago,
Yeah, it's so bad. They just let people, it's the wild, wild west out there. And so I think,
100%,
totally on that.
Yeah, so I think that's really interesting that they're kind of creating all of these situations that are sort of real life related, adjacent, you would say.
South Central.
And this is, I think this is
Outer Rim.
Yeah.
I think this is another way where we see the Republic falls. Obviously we're allowing too much influence from old members of the Empire. We've gone soft and weak. The politicians are weak. They don't care who's in charge. They just, they're the elitists. They want their rich and fame. And then if you're not going to please the galaxy, this is what happens. Things are going to fall and people are going to move a different way. And when, you get punched in the mouth or, your legs are taken out from underneath you, this is what happens. First Order is obviously, I liked how we mentioned, is First Order created yet? In my opinion, I think it is. The Empire has fallen. It's 10 years later or 9 years later. I think the First Order, while it may not be called the First Order,
guys, we need a rebrand.
No, it's not necessarily a rebrand, but the Empire has fallen. Vader's gone. Palpatine's gone. It's time to, they're, Moff Gideon. There's Thrawn out there. There's people out there that are still a part of the Empire that are going to form their own way and their new order without the help of kind of the Sith right now. So this is what happens if you're not going to please the whole galaxy. Shit's going to fall.
Yeah.
Especially when you leave the job not finished. They knew people were out there. They knew the essence of the Empire were still there. And they just said, oh, well, clearly we won the battle, so they're not going to try to pick a fight with us anymore. Well, they are if you're going to defund all of your military and your destroy your fleets, pull apart.
They didn't just defund them; they dismantled and destroyed rebel ships, rebel fleet, the entire fleet, and so there is no protection that they can offer anybody or protect themselves. It's really awful. What they did to themselves. They basically cut their own legs off.
And how stupid are the New Republic. I keep going back to, and I think this is why I'm in love with that episode 3, where we see that portion of what's happening at the Coruscant, and those other scenes that we see that's happening at Coruscant. Look at how much they are trying to brainwash people from the Empire, that they're having weekly, daily counseling meetings from a stupid robot saying, do you feel any hatred towards your boss? Do you feel any hatred towards the New Republic? Are you still thinking about the Empire? They're making them do that daily, yet they're allowing for people who are still full-on Empire, full-on by themselves to just reign freely in the Outer Rim. Hell no. Go track their asses down.
You know, in a way, you could see that as like that was like an appeasement to like the people, the angry citizens of the New Republic, who are probably like, yeah, you know, jail them all or execute them all. They're traitors of the Republic. And as a way like to not do like a mass, you know, genocide kind of thing, to be like, well, hey, well, like, here's going to be the rules and regulations that we put in place so we don't have to go down that route because we're better than the Empire. You know, so we're going to put them through this psychological training and reintegrate them into our society to show how we're superior.
And yet they still see people that are being reintegrated into this New Republic from the Empire fall, just like with that scientist, how they melted his brain. So this is what happens when you half-ass this.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, Corey. Let's go ahead and get into obviously the Captain Teva shows up with the Mandalorians, and I agree with you guys. I loved that whole sequence of like, man, like this was our secret spot. Now we're gonna have to move, or we could just kill you, you know. But here was a moment where I thought was very fascinating, because Din Djarin kind of takes the lead here for the first time in front of the Mandalorians, and they listen to him. Now, yes, it's because he's redeemed and he does walk the way, but at the same time, this is really the first time we're seeing them listen to him, because really with all those guys, he didn't start out a Mandalorian. What's up, Ray? It's good to see Raya. Hey. We didn't see him start out Mandalorian. He was, you know, rescued by Mandalorians and then brought into their fold, you know, over time. So he wasn't like from the get-go a foundling, you know. He was basically the runt of a litter, you know, and kind of welcomed into the home, right? And in a way, I thought it was very interesting after this conversation that Din Djarin has with Captain Teva, that he's just like, okay, yes, I want to help these people. But like we talked about earlier, Retro, where we said Captain Teva, clearly he has integrity, because I love that little line from him where he's like, I know you're not going to listen to me and you're just going to, you know, do it anyways, but I will not reveal the location of your secret, you know, base. You know, it was just kind of that thing of like, well, that was like a nice gesture from him.
Because while that was a nice gesture, he still has that R4 unit that will just tell him where he is. They need to
sure, but it's not like he's going to go basically saying, I'm not going to report to my superiors that you guys are out here, you know?
Yeah.
Which is
which I appreciate that. Yeah. But here we get this really wonderful scene with Din Djarin having kind of the talk, giving a speech at the fire, trying to convince people like, hey, like, these are people who, you know, yes, they've done wrong by us in the past, but they've also saved me and my foundling, who's now of, you know, well, Grogu's not quite of the way yet because he can't speak, but Din Djarin is. He's a voice at the table, so to speak. And here he is, you know, giving this speech of saying why they do need to go help these people, and kind of giving people the option. And this is where I say this was kind of the interesting part. While it was seeing Din Djarin take a step forward in the leadership role, really, in all honesty, if he wanted to, all he had to do was whip out his Blacksaber. That sounded naughty. Apologies. You know, but whip out the Darksaber and be like, hey, I'm the leader of the Mandalorians. We're going to go do this. You know, that's all he had to do, really, because that's what they look at, you know, as in high regards, is that saber. But he didn't do that. He allowed the people in his tribe to choose if this was the right decision for everyone. And I think that was like an interesting way to go about it. And to especially have, you know, when the armorer says, okay, does anyone else want to speak? And I loved that speech from Paz Vizsla, who kind of gives you the idea that like he's not for this. He doesn't care for the people of Navarro because of his brothers and sisters who died for the founding and stuff like that. But then he kind of gives this Spartan speech where he's just like because you see all the others in the tribe, they're agreeing with him. They're like, we shouldn't fight this. It's just like, we're going to fight this because we're Mandalorians. You know, we love war. This is what we're about. You know, we are warriors first. And I love that he kind of rallies with them and says, they saved my child when most of us gave up. You know, Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, these are the people that really lived the way of the Mandalorian, and we're going to follow them just because of that. You know, what was your guys' thoughts about this great scene? I think it's one of the strongest scenes of this episode, but Retro, what's your thoughts?
Shout out to Noel real quick.
Oh, hey, Noel.
What's up, Noel?
I love this scene. Yeah. You know, I'll start with Carson arriving and calling out R5, which was kind of a shock to me, but also I did have a friend said, hey, there's something up with R5 plugging into Bo-Katan's ship earlier in the season, and I was like, you know what's going on there? And I'm really curious. And they probably won't ever, establish exactly how Carson knew exactly who R5 was with, unless there's some kind of reveal later on. But, how did he know where R5 was and that he was specifically with Din Djarin? That's kind of the part that I'm like, we're doing a little movie magic storytelling here, just missing that part. But when he gets there and he reveals that R5's working with him and had been sort of like a veteran of the war, it was kind of nice to get that confirmation for R5, and also like, okay, now the Mandalorians mention we have to move now because we're compromised. So it's also that they know like somebody's looking for Mandalorian. Somebody is looking for them. They know that they're an endangered species almost. So this is really, they've been living in hiding. And so this is kind of a wild kind of concept. And they have this speech that Din Djarin gives where he's like, maybe we can start living in the open again and not live in the shadows. Our kids can play in the sun. And then Grogu makes like a little googly noise. And I was like, oh, Grogu wants to go play in the sun. So it was very, very sweet and kind of feeding into what we've already, established about this covered. And it's just, I thought it was really great, and his speech and everything. And one thing I want to say about the Darksaber and Din Djarin is that I think Din Djarin doesn't believe that the sword will make him a leader, and he doesn't wave it around because he doesn't think it makes sense to him that he should wave it around and people will follow him.
And in a way, I think, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's what I was kind of hoping. I was hoping someone would say that, because I think that, at least before, was the difference between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan.
Exactly.
As people, as leaders. She believed that this granted her the right of leadership rather than setting the example and being just the person that people want to follow. It's not an object that makes you a leader. It's who you are inside. Yeah.
Yes, it's inside. And so, and I think she's learned that hanging out with the children of the Watch, she's learned like, okay, when it's time for me to take charge. She doesn't like stand up and starts barking orders around to everybody. They know that she has certain tactical skills that they don't have, and she has a ship that can get the job done. And so I adored all of that stuff. As far as Paz Vizsla's speech, It was amazing because it starts out as this like he's going in the opposite direction than then it ends up, and you're like, oh gosh, he's gonna tell him to stay put, and good luck to Din Djarin and possibly Bo-Katan in this mission. And he just says, because we are Mandalorian. And I was like, yes. I was really like, pumped up after his speech, and I was like, this is like the 300th speech. This is Sparta.
Yes, yeah.
And I was just like, yes, let's go do it. It was very good, much needed, and I really wish something like this had happened earlier in the season, simply because there was a lot of action and stuff going on, and definitely storytelling is there. But it was almost like everything was being set up, and now we're finally getting to see Mandos doing Mando things, right? We're starting to see Mandalorians being Mandalorians, and that was missing for me. That was definitely missing for me, and this episode really delivered that rousing speech. And give us something of the creed of Mandalorians, like him just saying, because we are Mandalorians, this is why we do what we do, was more information for me about their culture and who they are. And I was like, yes, give me more of this. Give me more of this. This is the way.
And in a way, you bring up a great point, Retro, because they're kind of, this tribe in particular is kind of a lost tribe. You know, while yes, they're organized more than most Mandalorians at this moment, at the same time, you have to remember a lot of them probably remember what Mandalore used to be, this great grand planet. And even then, Mandalore has been constantly plagued with, interwars and civil wars, and simply because the entire group and the whole planet couldn't decide what was the Mandalorian way. Was it peace? Was it what they believe their origins are of the warrior?
Yes.
And that's the big change that they're gonna have to make, is mixing the two together. Are we gonna do good things, or are we gonna go around being
walking
Mandalorians
both ways,
fighting
foot in
each
each
other?
path?
But and like what you said about the Darksaber as well, they say true kings are not born, they are made. And that's the sort of representation of the Darksaber, really. And I thought that the fact that Jin isn't very good with it as well is a bit of a dead giveaway, that it doesn't truly belong to him. And more than likely Bo-Katan. But just absolutely love the progression of the story with the Mandalorians, and where are they going to go next? Because they've got to change their ways, otherwise they're going to end up completely wiped out. And
in a way, you bring up a great point, Savage, because it's the next scene of where once again here Bo-Katan is kind of leading the party, because she comes from obviously a royalty family. She's had high education, she knows war tactics, and she's been in plenty of battles, so she's kind of once again the war party chief in this, going like, yep, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna handle this. And they're listening to her, so already she commands that respect, because she went on one mission, saved the child of Paz Vizsla, and now she's on this next mission and leading the charge again. So you're really starting to see that the majority of the Mandalorians are starting to look towards her as the rightful.
Also, another thing that I never clocked until recently was the female Mandalorians have got a different shape thing on the helmet. And that seems to be a continuous thing. And also, just for fun and games, it's in the shape of a uterus. So,
I never. It's kind of
little brother spotted that.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't think about that, but yeah.
I don't know if that's intentional or not.
I always,
but I never clocked that there was a difference between female helmet and the male one. Just until recently, and it was plainly obvious because Sabine's helmet's the same as well. So
I always thought with like Bo-Katan and Sabine, because they were kind of part of that Owl clan, the Night Owl. I always figured that like that's why their helmets were shaped differently than most.
But
you bring up a good point.
The armor, make her whatever you call her. Hers is the same. Yeah, that was something that I only just clocked recently.
Yeah, good points all around, man. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about Paz Vizsla's speech and kind of the leadership roles between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin.
Bro, this was actually a very interesting chain of events for me. I'm actually going to need to rewatch it because when I was first listening to Din Djarin's speech, I was like, oh, okay, he's kind of justifying things, trying to talk to people. But if you notice, nobody was hyped up. Nobody was hyped up at all for this. I feel like
he presented it more as like this is a group decision rather than this is what we're doing.
Exactly. And Din Djarin has this tendency to always need to justify things like, he helped me out this one time, so I should help him out, or he saved my life, I owe him this. It's always something like that. Now, I don't think he sold people on this. So he clearly didn't rile up the troops by any means. And it just tells me that, Din Djarin is not the leader. He will never be the leader of the Mandalorian. And I don't think he necessarily wants to be the leader of the Mandalorians. He's not a good, he's very direct and to the point. He justifies it. He's very, he helped me, so I owe him one, and that's it. That's the only reason why I'm doing it. He didn't rile up the troops. So when Paz Vizsla gets up there, when he started his speech, I knew exactly where it was heading because, kind of knowing the Mandalorian way, the battle way, and also remembering from the last episode when Paz kind of gave the nod to Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. I had a feeling that the way he was speaking, it was very cowardly in the beginning. So I was like, there's no way that this is what's going to happen. So when he flipped it and he was like, because we're Mandalorians, because this is the way, because we're fighters, this is what we're meant to do. The Mandalorians are very much so protectors of the innocent and in some ways, protecting the kids and everything like that. And
not even so much that, but they just war is what they do.
Exactly.
So
they're Spartans, basically.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, it almost gave me a bad taste in my mouth after Paz Vizsla's speech. I was like, nobody was speaking. So I was wondering, I knew somebody else was going to speak. I was wondering if it was going to be Bo-Katan to kind of
that's who I was expecting.
Get everybody going. So when Paz Vizsla showed up, I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. So it's almost like this three-way, leadership chain that they kind of have going on right now, which, may be kind of interesting to see how that kind of proceeds in the future, because clearly Din Djarin is not a leader. He's not the rightful leader by any means. I think he's okay with it. I don't think he wants anything to do with it. Yeah. I think Bo-Katan, Paz Vizsla, and more specifically with the armor later on, kind of pushing Bo-Katan. I think that's the route that we're heading. But that Paz Vizsla speech was very interesting to me. It blew Din Djarin's speech. I don't even remember what Din Djarin said anymore. After Paz Vizsla's speech.
I have one thing to say about that is that, you just mentioned a couple of things that, really helped to explain Din Djarin's personality a lot. He's very romantic, so he's talking about blue skies and, living in the open and being freer. They're like, so we don't mind the hardships of fighting on this Jurassic beach every week, They don't care. They don't care about that. But what they're, one thing about Din Djarin as well is that he's very task oriented since the beginning. Give him a task, he does it. If he comes upon a snag in it, he had solutions. It was very much task oriented. Go do this, Din Djarin. He did it. And so he would be a great knight or a great general. He would, someone to carry out the mission at hand, and sophisticated ones as well. And you have, I think, when you say sort of a three-way leadership, I think of more of a four-way, because that armorer has a significant amount of power, and
she's the religious leader,
authority. And so it almost like the Pope, and so I think we're getting sort of a council kind of developing with the Mandalorians. I hope that they don't decide that one person with one perspective is going to become the leader. Instead, have many leaders, or many people that can counsel, and speak for other different factions of Mandalorians. That was the problem before. One person from one group
working together.
Yeah, one group from one group wanted to have control, and competing to see who was the true Mandalorians. There's other tribes out there, and if they have this feeling like you have we're going to use that same term again, seat at the table, maybe a round table, you can, your tribe will be represented, and your needs and the things that you need will be represented as a nation. So I think, and I hope and I pray that is where the Mandalorians will go, because what they've been doing in the past has not worked. It was not the way. And so they need to try something different.
And you bring up great points. Like, maybe that's the thing, is like, hopefully they do realize that maybe one leader isn't the like, it needs to be more of a democracy rather than having kingship or queenship, because if one person has seen that, Bo-Katan has, just as the armorer says, she's been on both sides. She has seen the peaceful side that her sister Satine tried to do, and then obviously they try to take out her sister because the Mandalorians couldn't agree to that path. And then she's also seen the warrior side of it, where if they're just all about fighting and killing, then that doesn't set up you for success either. So hopefully maybe it just sets up, if we can bring everyone together in a compatible way.
That gets a little muddy though too, is the only concern, because what happens if they each have different ideas? You do need that one to have like the 51% control of the Mandalorian way to decipher what is the best route to continue to head.
Jango had wait, hold on, what was that? Jango had the Darksaber?
No, above. Yeah, me and my brother discussed the Boba Fett thing when he says, pulls the hologram up on his arm, and says, "This is my family," or whatever. That was a bit odd. I thought there was something to that, but my brother didn't like the idea of that though. But yeah, something I put. Yeah, it would make a big twist if Boba Fett become the leader.
Well, if they do, they need to get Boba back to that savagery. The armor is the spiritual leader, not the main leader. She is the guide archetype. Yep, that's exactly what I was trying to get at too. As the religious leader, she just holds that similar power. Great. It's mentioned in the books. I'll have to look at that. I didn't know that about Boba Fett and Jango. I'll have to. That's cool. Corey is right. Hey, Corey, you have re-won Batan. Congratulations.
This is the way.
Well, as we know, the group they're hyped. They're ready to do this mission to save Navarro. And as kind of a theme that Din Djarin used to encourage the Mandalorians as part of his speech was that this guy on Navarro, the high magistrate, he said that I'm welcome to a piece of lands. Like, maybe that's our home. maybe that's where we rebuild Mandalore. So that was kind of his argument for it. But here we go. They have a plan in place of how they're going to take down the, Gorian Shards pirate ship, and how they're going to help save the people. And man, oh man, I just know Orkin Beans right now was probably like jumping out of his seat, because he loves his space battles, his spaceships and all that stuff. Seeing the N1 Starfire, that thing is just so badass. Just a great action sequence. That was just, and to see finally a group of Mandalorians together live action, and how their tactics are, was so exciting. We'll let everyone go around. What was your thoughts about this whole action sequence where the Mandalorians come to the rescue, and what did you think about their tactics?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really brilliant, brilliantly orchestrated by Bo-Katan, and she's just showing, more of her stripes. She served with the Death Watch, and they had many military operations, and she's just showing like, all right, she's coordinated all the stuff beautifully because it works, and just seeing all of them work together and just kick major butt. It was fantastic. It was great, and I wish we had this like 20 times over in this whole season, to be honest. I wouldn't have mind like a full out like Mandalorian shows up and saves a city and beats everybody up.
yeah, that would have been cool. You know what it made me want? It made me want, and I know I'm going to say it again, Star Wars, get on it with the Republic Commando game. Ooh. Damn it. I want Republic Commando 2. Give it to me. Or even a Mandalorian game. I'll take that. Just give me something where we could be back in the Mandalorian armor.
Exactly. We don't
tactics.
always need to be Jedis. Let us be some Mandalorians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah,
I'm excited for Jedi Survivor. That's going to be dope.
Yeah, I do kind of want them to be Galaxy Rangers, like get in there and like save some planet and set up some headquarters in each planet, like sort of rebuild the nation of Mandalorians again, and have like little head posts everywhere, so that way they can communicate what's going on these different planets. That would be awesome. Like, come on, Star Wars, give it to me. Give me what I want.
Yeah. Savage, how about you? What was your thoughts about this whole action sequence?
Absolutely loved it, and some of my favourite scenes in the Clone Wars and Rebels were when the Mandalorians were fighting, and the jetpack scenes and stuff. Everyone loves a bit of jetpack action, as Retro was saying, pew pew pew. It's absolutely amazing. It's not really a criticism. I just thought it was after being so intimidating. The only thing that I thought was a bit off was how weak that pirate ship was. It just took it out like it was nothing. I was like, what? That was not really a complaint, but I've just thought that was a bit odd.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Savage. Like the only like kind of major complaint, and like I said, major as a minor, was I thought they were going to build up the pirate Cap King a little more, Gorian Shard. I thought they were going to build him up to be a little bit more of a big bad, but it kind of felt like with him, they were kind of like, well, shit. Like I know he was a cool character that we set up in the first episode, but maybe we only got 8 of these to do this season, and we're not going to keep him around. So let's get rid of him.
Yeah, that was truly upsetting, because I think it would have been much more believable if he had jetted off. Imagine to boost that sucker out of there, just
like his first mate who abandoned him.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's been nice working with you, but laters.
I think that would have been really good, and then bring him back at some other season as a because it just doesn't. I like smart characters.
Yeah.
And so, like, a dumb character's like, I'm going to go down with this ship, and there's no escapes or anything. Like, It just kind of was a little bit of a letdown, but a beautiful fight sequence, no doubt. I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. I agree. The character too, just the Gorian Shard was a great design. Yes, I know it was like a swamp themed Davy Jones, but it worked, you know.
Yeah, I had fun
it
with
was just cool. The idea of his ship was awesome. The design of it, like everything was working to make that just like a character that was more rememberable. And I feel like to get rid of him so quickly was kind of like, like this was a moment to make this dude a badass. You know?
No, he's got a twin brother or something out there.
Maybe it's a Blackbeard Gorian Shard. You know,
been nicknamed Salad the Hut on the
Salad the Hut. You're right. Yeah. Super Real Corey, your thought about this action sequence?
Yeah, man. You know, I thought the tactics that and the plan that Bo-Katan implemented was a pretty cool plan. I loved seeing the Starfighter come in and really, you know, cause, you know, like he's watching it and really starts the, you know, the chaos off quite nicely. Then Bo-Katan dropping the Mandalorians in, you know, it kind of gave me some Halo ODST, you know, vibes with them going in behind the scenes. I think the only thing that I may, you know, and this is me really nitpicking here, I would have loved to seen a little bit more tactics, like, you know, when they were going around and I know it's only a 41-man episode, but when they were going around and they kind of like surprise attacked them and dropped in on them and they were kind of moving around, I would have loved to seen like them kind of clearing some rooms and kind of seeing like more of what happens when those like little
more efficiency of them too. Like while it was super cool, I felt like when that turret got hooked up, they got taken out too quickly.
They were trapped. They were suppressed. They got suppressive fire down, and you know, it would have been cool to see, you know, how the armor necessarily got in and how she snuck around. It would have been cool to see a little bit more coordination on the ground, where like Bravo Squad, you know, moving this way, Delta Squad moving this way, Alpha Squad, you know, kind of more talk.
See something on the level like the Republic Commando, the Delta Squad, right? Like how like they're giving each other orders and cues, and like to see that tactical aspect. Yeah, maybe.
So I was looking for, you know, building clearing, you know, different strategies moving around the map in order to retake the city, because this was really quick, and almost I wondered if the episode should have been longer, or if they should have just made this an entire this portion of the show an entire separate episode, because there's so much that they could have offered us here. But overall, it was a lot of fun to see them move around and how they worked together. So I wanted more of that. As far as the pirate ship going down, I didn't necessarily have an issue. I'm with Batman here. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on with season 3, so I was okay with them bringing down the pirate ship right away. The character was too Davy Jonesy to me, and I didn't necessarily like that too much. So I was okay for them to kind of just get rid of him, because again, he is just a pirate. So all the pirate, it's not like people are regularly maintaining those ships for him. You know, that's his crew that's trying to do it, and clearly they're not very competent pirates. So of course, if a well manufactured, you know, N1 Starfighter and Bo-Katan ship, you know, flying around, that's going to, you know, create some chaos and damage, especially with them, being those things are kind of more, because that thing, they call it a Coruscant carrier, right? I believe they is what the ship is that they had, or what do they call it? They had some name for it. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they took it out fairly quickly as well. So overall, really cool scenes. I was really hoping Mando would have got that one jerk in the middle there. But, him piecing out just creates drama for when are we going to see him show up again? You know, what he oh gosh, he kind of he very much reminds me of like that one character that's always constantly running away from the battle when stuff gets bad. So it's kind of funny to see his character. But yeah, overall, a very entertaining, a great scene.
And Trey is not there.
Trey.
The jetpack scene with the Mandalorians, you know, the sort of big pew scenes. I do think that once the Mandalorian winds down a bit and comes to kind of like a conclusion, like Noel was saying, Iron Man type situation, I do think that they're probably going to carry it on and have a bit more of that, because I think that that's the next step, is to have, like, you know, the Mandalorians doing their thing just all the time. And you know,
I hope so.
Yeah, I do think that that's where it's heading.
Yeah, and I think like it would be very honorable to do it as like people like protectors and not like fighting each other. You know, being from a war-like society that's you know, that really glorifies war and this kind of thing, they need to have a job to do, or they'll start fighting each other. And
exactly.
So they need a job, and you know, protecting the galaxy would be a great idea. And there would, I'm sure, you know, there would be a reason why they, you know, would disappear or maybe go into hiding again or something like that by the time the New Order came about. But it would be nice to see a couple of seasons of the Mandalorians, you know, doing Mandalorian things, you know.
Ooh. And there's no reason to even change the name of the show, the Mandalorian. No. It's still going to make sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mandalorian's doing Mandalorian things.
Mandalorian's doing the Mandalorian.
War, yes, pew pew pew.
Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide. I will say it was awesome to see the armor back in action, because I just love that she doesn't use like any firearms. She just uses her hammers. Like, you know,
she's awesome.
Yeah, she's a complete badass, and I'm here for it. And of course, we get the Gorian Shard pirate ship crushing down and destroyed. The Mandalorians have saved the day of Navarro. And of course, the people are thankful. We get this very Battle of Endor celebration kind of thing going on, where Grief Karga? Yes. I every time I'm about to say his name, I go Grief, and I want to say Grieva, because of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Reva, you know. But so he kind of gives them the deal, saying, you know, thank you. He's like, this is the land I'm going to give you, you know, for, you know, saving the day. And of course, all the Mandalorians are happy. But something interesting happens. We get Paz Vizsla goes up to Bo-Katan and says, hey, the armor wants to speak to you alone. Now, we all knew this conversation was coming up, because you know, ever since her talking with the armor about seeing the mythosaur, and we kind of got like weird vibes from it. Like, she didn't quite like acknowledge it. She seemed like it was more of a vision than actual real.
Maybe she had a prey on it.
She had a prey on it, but as you know, we know of the Mandalorian way, they do not speak unless if it's known. You know, is they can speak it with truth. So maybe that's why she was hesitant. But now we're getting a very different side. Now, I've heard a lot of like commotion and arguing, and a lot of people upset by this whole particular ending, because they felt like the armor did a 180. So this one we're definitely going to break down here, because I have some theories and thoughts about what happened. But essentially, the armor tells Bo-Katan that you have seen the mythosaur. I believed it to be of legend, but this is a sign that times are changing, that we're going to usher in a new era. And we can only do that with you, who has walked both the ways that aren't of the children of the Watch, who don't go by the creed, and now you have lived by the creed. She's like, so I need you to unite all of us so that we can reclaim our Mandalore. She tells Bo-Katan to take off her helmet. This was very unusual, especially for the armor, who is like so hard on Din Djarin that never take off your helmet, and sent him on this whole mission, and to only have Bo-Katan basically no longer of the creed, and to tell everyone around Bo-Katan that, no, this is the leader here. Like, she's going to help unite us. So you still have to listen to her, even though Din Djarin didn't get the same treatment. It's very curious. And I loved the way Bo-Katan handled this scene where she was like, she couldn't tell if it was like a test. Like, is she asking me to take off my helmet to see if I'm going to do it because it means I'm not loyal to the creed? So she's like hesitant and just pauses for the longest time and almost like kind of like slowly does it, waiting for her to say like, okay, like, no, you're no longer of our creed, you get out, kind of thing. I love this hesitancy with her and this conflict. But in a way, we've discussed this throughout this entire season where we said, yeah, Bo-Katan and Din Djarin now have walked both sides of the creed of the Mandalorian people. And in a way, they're going to have to find a nice, center point of following the old ways, the new ways, and help uniting all of Mandalore for this. And they're the perfect couple to do it. What was your guys' reaction to the armorer saying, take off this helmet and unite us?
Oh, I was surprised at first, and I love the way it was played with a lot of tension because, the way Bo-Katan kind of slowly brings her hands up and she's like, should I do it? Is this a trick?
Yeah.
I just love that. It was all done with body language, and it was it was physically acted out exactly how it should have for the right emotional response. And to show us that this character is not certain that this is what she should do, even though she's getting a command a command basically from someone who she respects. And I like the fact that the armor says, do you respect my station? And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
Don't make me do this. I want to be loyal to what you guys are doing. So I love that aspect. And if she had jumped to take off her helmet, I would say, that Bo-Katan, But now I'm like, okay, my feelings about Bo-Katan has definitely gone towards a person who was actually trying to be a part of the Children of the Watch. Just trying it out for a while, and given the mission now to go find others, and now she is the person who walks both ways, and I thought it was poetic, and it made a lot of sense, though I also craved and wanted a little bit more about the sharing of cultures there, because we know that there's something very different about the Children of the Watch and her culture. We know that because she made some pog soup for Din Djarin and said, you don't know about pog soup, So I'm like, wow, they can teach each other. I really wish we had maybe a few scenes more of that kind of interaction about the differences in their culture, and also the reason why this particular tribe decided that they wanted to keep their helmets on, and it was that important that in order to be a part of the tribe that you had to keep your helmets on. And we haven't gotten that information yet. So that's kind of like missing for me. But Bo-Katan's new mission is like, okay, now the season, we had a whole bunch of setup. We finally, and maybe a little late for a lot of people, we finally have a mission in play. Find other Mandalorians and bring them back into the fold so Mandalorians can be whole again, and they can take over their home world. This is a big mission, and I think it's I don't know if they're going to be able to do this in a few more episodes.
3 left.
About 3 left. 2 left or 3 left?
3, because
Three
they
left.
6, 7, 8. Yep.
3 left, and it's really definitely one of those things where I'm just kind of surprised, like now we finally got a mission for these guys to go on, and a mission also perhaps for Din to accompany her. And I'm wondering if that's going to happen. That wasn't set up just yet. Where does Din play in all of this? Is he going to accompany her to find Mandalorians? And will that also lead them to finding out about possibly Thrawn and Moff Gideon, and who's actually behind all of this Empire stuff that's going on, in the Pirate Nation, all that. So it could, it's very fascinating to find out, like, how are all these pieces that they've set up going to play a part in the future episodes, maybe future seasons.
I like that. I like that. Man,
a little long-winded.
No, you're good. I just loved everything you had to say there, Retro, because I think there is there is now a clear mission. Like, originally we all kind of thought, like, yes, being redeemed in the waters of Mandalore, in the mines of Mandalore, was kind of the initial mission, but then there was this kind of side quest that Din Djarin had, that, let me fix up my old droid. That's also been kind of put on the way back burner now because it hasn't been mentioned since. So there's that going on, but there hasn't been like a clear, like, this is where we're trying to get from here. It's mostly been these side quests lately. So now that we do kind of have a mission, it'll be interesting to see if the focus on the show is for Din Djarin to accompany Bo-Katan, which, once again, that's kind of interesting. If that's the case, then really Din Djarin is just kind of playing this supporting character, which, like I said, it's okay. I know some people are going to be pissed off by that, because the show is called Mandalorian, and while this guy is the main character, at least from the previous seasons, we've seen in plenty of other shows where the main character that you thought was the main character isn't the main character. Game of Thrones with Ned Stark, and then even Walking Dead with Rick Grimes. At some point, he was no longer the main character. So this is nothing new, but it'll be interesting to see if they do go down that path where it focuses on Bo-Katan's journey, to being the rightful leader that she needs to be of Mandalore.
Din Djarin can't be the main character anymore. He lost his main character privileges when he became the true father of Grogu, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Grogu has definitely softened him.
It's why he can't be the leader of when Grogu chose to go back with Din Djarin. That's when Din Djarin no longer can be the leader of Mandalore, in my opinion. He's out.
Yeah.
His main focus now is with the foundling.
Being a dad.
Yeah, I never really see that from the start, really. But this scene, I really like the obviously the idea of merging the two different ideologies of the Mandalorians together. My initial reaction when she said take the helmet off, it was what? But I couldn't help think that when she took it off, she was going to go, psych, you actually banned forever now. It was just a wind-up.
You cannot follow the
Honestly, I just couldn't help it. She's just going to go, ha, you probably banned now.
I did too.
It would have been quite funny as well. But no, and I'm really glad that there's lots of sort of separate stories since season 1 up until now, and the Mandalorian side of it actually seems to start to get some sort of cohesive. It's starting to go somewhere. We're starting to sort of find out big things that big things are brewing, and it's actually no more building. It's getting somewhere, and it's obviously there's 3 episodes left, so. It's all going to be explained in them, I should imagine, and then lead on to Ahsoka. I think it's next, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that we're finally getting answers, big answers to things, because enough messing around.
Yes.
We get it. Start getting on with it.
Yes.
I do like what,
yes, let's start getting to the juicy stuff.
I do like what Noel says here. The creed works for the code, the mission works for Mandalore, and yeah, maybe she is kind of in a way swallowing her pride a little bit of that. Their creed is the right way. And kind of acknowledging that maybe their creed is just, in a way, it's like the Catholics versus the general Christians, right? Like they're out there, you have to accept them as a part. But obviously the Catholics are like a little more hardcore into the religion. They they believe their way is kind of the thing.
So I guess I kind of took it a little differently. I kind of wish this was a scene that I enjoyed quite a bit. I was looking forward to their conversation and what was going to happen here. I had a feeling it might be regarding to her needing to step up more and become that true leader of Mandalore, or unite type vibes to it. Because I think what we've seen within the past few episodes is that she's the leader. Bo-Katan, she is the one who's leading the war efforts, and she is the commander in chief. She's in charge of the military, and that's what she's doing. She is the commander in chief right now out of everybody there. So she, in my opinion, has acted, and she has been a successful leader for this group. Now, the thing that I was thinking when she was saying take off the helmet and how she wants to have her unite people, this didn't really bother me, even though she made Din Djarin go on a whole separate quest for it early in the episode, because. And this is where once again I wish we would have had more background and more insight on the armor's position here. And who knows? Hopefully, maybe we'll get it in the next episode. But she's the religious leader. She's what one could say the prophet to the king. So like how King David had Nathan, the prophet. So that's how I saw it. And in this sense, Bo-Katan, the leader, told told the armor, told the prophet, hey, I saw this mythosaur on Mandalore, and tried to get insight. Now, obviously, there wasn't a immediate response from the armor. She, like you said, they don't speak unless it's true. Well, I would have liked to have seen, some of the religious aspects of the Mandalore way, and I would have liked to have seen maybe, the armor kind of do the rituals to kind of like just, not pray, meditate on what she's been told. Because by doing so, she's come to the conclusion now with whatever, whether she prayed to the Mandalore gods or she must have received a vision or something along those lines that is telling her that, okay, the only way that we unite Mandalore, the only way, this is the way forward, is by pushing Bo-Katan to the next level. And me being the prophet, this is what I must do. Now, that's how I kind of see it. I see that she was told that, like, okay, this is the way, this is what needs to be done for.
So therefore, she could speak of it as if...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I would have liked to have seen, the armor go through that experience of like, a dream of her, maybe, talking it kind of like in even like 300 where they
Yes.
Honor the Kami, the oracles, in that sense.
Yeah.
So
in a way, they could have done that simply, in the scene where Din Djarin is given the speech and Bo-Katan, and Paz Vizsla gives his speech that we're Mandalorians. They could have done like a quick side cut of the armorer maybe seeing a vision in the fire of Bo-Katan leading the Mandalorian. Something as simple as that, giving her a sign to say this is the rightful ruler. That would have solved that particular issue maybe that people are having.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's what I think. That's how I worked it out myself, basically. So that's how I took it.
Or even a line that said, I deliberated about this, and this is what I came up with. But it's even if she said like, oh, I had a dream, or she even if she just said it, but she said that's what's lacking for me in this entire season, is we have all these people with helmets on, and they're doing excellent, body language acting.
Yes.
But we're not getting any insight into how they feel, and a lot of that is through the eyes. So sometimes that's through like the way a face like scrounches or whatever. We're getting none of that, and so we need exposition. We need talking. We need moments where we can see more of like what's going on in their heads, like just more of that kind of character building. And like this whole season for me with Din Djarin in particular, he's just been so distant, and I there's some things I know about his personality based on seasons 1 and 2, but I don't know this season. It's like hard to read him because he doesn't say. He said very little. I mean, how much has he said this whole entire season so far? Very little.
It's funny you say that, because there's an interview with Katie Sackhoff, and she said that when she was voicing Bo-Katan originally, when she was behind the mic, she was kind of doing all these movements that she could sort of express herself and do the acting behind the microphone. But then when she actually had to play Bo-Katan, she had to go back and re-watch it to do her movements and actions and stuff, and relearn how, the sexy walk and the way she does, the way she looks and the way she responds to things and stuff. So yeah, I think that's very important, and I think it would be very interesting to see Jin take his helmet off and them all sort of have a little bit of a end of the Return of the Jedi moment.
I definitely feel like, if anything, maybe they're setting something up for Din to kind of bring him out of the reservedness that he's feeling. Everything's going right for him at this moment. He's gone into the waters. He's been redeemed. He's with Grogu again, and he's learning to become the foundling of the Mandalore Creed. And here they are. They had this mission, and it went successful. Everything's like smooth sailing. Nothing has quite gone wrong yet, and I'm kind of curious to see what happens at that moment when something does go horribly wrong. When this unstoppable force of Moff Gideon and the Empire and Grand Admiral Thrawn possibly to really kind of ignite something into him, because right now I feel like the beast within inside Din Djarin is sleeping. It's dormant because there's no reason to be the aggressive Mandalorian that he was before.
You ready for it? I'm gonna tell you how it finishes off.
Go for it, Subro.
Cool. Moff Gideon, he obviously returns. He's going to try to kill Grogu still.
I don't think he's trying to kill Grogu. He wants
to capture him. He's going to try to get him, whatever. Din Djarin is going to fight him. Moff Gideon's going to kill him. He's going to get the Darksaber back. Bo-Katan's going to kill Moff to save Grogu, and then she is the rightful leader. Needs all the help of all the other Mandalores. The end. That's the next 3 episodes. You heard it here first on the Bat Channel.
Jesus.
Kill everyone, though.
Kill everyone. That's the end of it. Well, as Jon Favreau said, he has like 5 more seasons at least already planned out. So.
Oh, Mandalorian?
Yeah.
So, and the thing is that the ratings have been really down, or the viewership has
I have
been
heard
really
that,
down.
which is sad, because I don't see what people aren't. I mean, I've heard a lot of complaints about this ending of this episode, but it seems like the biggest issue is that people feel like Din Djarin has gone beta, is what I've heard a lot of people say on Twitter. But it's like, I mean, it's kind of
I don't like that.
That's a way to put it, but
I mean, he's become a dad. That's what the reality of it is.
Yeah, he's got responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah.
But not just that, he's also a dad, because he is showing Grogu the ways of the Mandalorian. I mean, he was in the fighter pilot, cockpit with him as he's like destroying ships left and right. So he's not totally dadding it up, but he's still being very effective. It's just he's not saying anything. Like I would love that, like a moment with them in the caves with him like talking to Bo-Katan about his ways and and the creed, blah 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 blah. He had more to say in episode in the previous season about different things. Now it's almost they lost his language. But I do have one thing to say about Din when he saw Bo-Katan without a helmet on. It was almost like he was giving her a look. He like cocked his head to the side and he's like, "What?"
Yes.
Oh,
I
didn't notice that.
I was like, oh. Maybe.
I did notice the nod
the way
he
you
gave
work
her,
it.
when the armorer said like she's going to be the one to unite us, and it seemed like he was of agreement, like that this was the right way. And I almost see, knowing Din Djarin, I almost see him kind of doing what Sabine did in Star Wars Rebels, where she said, you're the rightful ruler of the Darksaber. Here it is. It's yours. I almost wonder if Din Djarin is going to do that, because clearly he still doesn't want it.
She's not going to take it, though. She's not going to take it.
That's why Din's going to have to die. Moff gets it back, and then Bo-Katan gets it from Moff.
Well, Corey, let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
Before we go on that, I do. Retro brought up a great point, and I'm glad you mentioned the Retro because it did kind of bother me that in the plan, Din Djarin was going to be the kind of the focus of fire per se, the one that causes the chaos in the beginning and draws all the attention and fire his way. I thought it was very interesting that he allowed Grogu to be in the ship with him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was smart, or do you think it was more of like the safest spot is if he's here with me, or if I go down, we all go down together? Like what was your like? I can't think of a good reasoning for
I thought it was him just teaching him to be a Mandalorian. You have to know how to navigate in space. You need to know how to fight, and he's teaching him, literally having him on his lap while he's at work. Bring your kid to work day. That was my thing. I mean, and Mandalorians have a harsh sense of reality as far as what they think is safe, because they're a war-driven society. So I don't think that fazed him at all.
So coming on a big creature mission is bad.
Yeah.
And then this mission is okay. That's wrong.
Well, he wasn't going to leave him all alone too. But then again, I guess they didn't have the foundlings with them, so they stayed back.
That's what I was curious about.
Grogu is different. Yeah. Din is like, I want you to start learning now. I think I actually like that portion of the story with him really trying to teach Grogu the ways, because he's really small and I think he still has a lot of people who want him. If they knew what his powers were, and also for his blood or his to clone him, whatever it is, they still want him. There's still that looming sense that somebody's watching or somebody's guiding attacks to kind of draw out the Mandalorians and draw them, draw out Din, perhaps.
Yeah,
and
he's
so I
definitely
think I think training Grogu to be a Mandalorian is going to help him either which way. I had mentioned this somewhere else. Some people had said, hey, it would be great for him to be with Luke. Well, we know that Luke is not successful, and all of the students he has died. So if he went with Luke, he would die. So at least with the Mandalorian, he has a chance to survive in this cruel galaxy and he will have skills to be able to protect himself. Ultimately, not just his ability to move things with the Force, but also tactical ability. So I do like that portion of it for Grogu as a character. And I do like the fact that they're not making him the center of the universe for all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, not only, aside from the fact that he's in a position where people are after him, that the galaxy's a dangerous place. It's handy to know how to survive, which again points more to the fact that Jin is going to die, and kind of sort of say, we've given you what you need to know. It's fly the nest. You're ready to survive the galaxy. It
would certainly bring up an interesting storyline.
Go on without me. Go on without me, kind of thing.
Especially with his Force abilities, how does he handle those anger feelings and rage and fear?
And he's also going to live a long time. So
because he's already like 60, I think, at this point.
He has to be older than that.
What's that?
I thought he was like 100.
When the season started, season 1 started, he was only 50.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 50. Yeah,
oh,
that's
really?
right.
Grogu was only like 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting
in his mid-50s now.
Yeah, so I mean, Yoda was like 900 something, 900, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got a long time to be little too, and so that with any of that training, he's gonna need it, and he's gonna definitely outlive Din.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. There will be always Mandalorians, but Din is most likely gonna live human as long as most humans live.
Yeah, which also brings up as well that Yoda's like 900 years old in Empire and Return of the Jedi. They're going to be doing that New Republic era, and obviously because Yoda's 900 years old, he's going to be in that as well.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the how they're going to do like the old Republic, films?
100 years before Episode 1.
Yeah, which I'm excited for. That'd be cool to see a younger Yoda.
Yeah, so that's,
Oh, I wonder what his personality is going to be like.
Yeah, it could be,
Maybe see him with his master. I think his master's passed at that time. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see for sure. Corey, go ahead and let's go to the ending of...
Quick shout out to Oracle's Clock Tower real quick. She's been on top of it today with the you will subscribe and like the stream Force abilities today. So much appreciated, Oracle's Clock Tower.
Do it. What? Oh, sorry. Like my computer just flashed real quick. Do you guys still see me? Am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you there?
No, don't do it, Corey. So we get to this ending where we continue the mystery of Moff Gideon. And, it kind of made me laugh because I kind of thought when I saw this scene, like Captain Carson kind of reminds me of Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings films, where he's like, here, I have a mission for you and your group. I have to leave you now and go do another quest on my own to find out who the big bad is. Like Gandalf does to go find out Sauron is still alive. And you see the ship that's obviously, it looks like, something went down, and he sends in a little drone to check it out and sees that all the New Republic soldiers and officers have been killed. And something, and according to the logs, it matches the ones of Moff Gideon. So confirming that Moff Gideon has escaped trial, and he was supposedly rescued with someone with Beskar steel. And as they mention in the show, they say Mandalorians. Is it possible that Mandalorians helped Moff Gideon get away? So it begs this question.
I thought it was. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go on.
I thought it was very interesting that they immediately assumed that it was a Mandalorian, even though Beskar is being used as some sort of trade metal. So that was very presumptuous, I thought. But the implications of that is very interesting to me. And this is where the logistics of this happening is very, it just brings up so many questions. Because wouldn't you want to grab somebody from a flying ship when it's in an atmosphere that's conducive? Why would you do that in outer space unless you had like a way of getting into the vehicle and
like Leia? Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause it looks like, I'm not sure if they blasted their way into. That's the way it looks like it, like they blasted their way inside. But the logistics of that, I'll put that to the side for a minute. But yeah, there's a possibility or a theory that's kind of going around that perhaps Moff Gideon is some sort of Mandalorian, or still has control of some Mandalorians that were in the Death Watch, and perhaps even some of the Mandalorians that were following what's his name? Guy with the horns. I know his name, but I'm not thinking of it now.
Guy with the horns.
He killed Qui-Gon. What's his name?
Oh, Darth Maul.
Yes, Darth Maul. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. But that he had some people that were loyal to him, and so it could be them. And the other theory is that it could be the Night Owls. Since they are without a leader and they're kind of on their own, it could be them as well, possibly seeking some sort of revenge or just trading sides. So it's very fascinating to know what is all of this. Is Thrawn involved with this situation? I'm totally excited to find out what is behind this situation.
The first thing I thought with this thing was obviously Vader's shuttle. Where is that shuttle going? But was Boba Fett. Perhaps these Empire people have kidnapped what's her name? Boba Fett's girlfriend, Ming-Na Wen.
Oh gosh. I'm totally spacing what her name is.
Yeah, it's completely forgotten. But anyway, forced him into a position and to say, we need you to go rescue Moff Gideon, because the blast holes in the ship and the bit of Beskar left behind does seem like a bit of a Boba Fett job to me. But with Boba Fett's kind of past alliances with the Empire. But he's kind of sort of gone good a little bit. Maybe he was forced into doing it. I'm guessing it's Boba Fett.
You think it was Boba
Fett? Oh, that's a good theory.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
He
did used to work for the Empire, and
that would be surprising.
And setting up Boba as the big bad.
Man.
And then that would mean Boba
Phoenix
Fett.
Shen. Thank you, Dan.
The dark saber. That's insane.
Oh, wow.
That's it's a cool theory. I don't know if I don't think it's that, but if it does happen, applaud you, good sir. You heard it from Savage Bat. He scooped it.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. By the way, it's just me. I'm the one who's forgetful about names. I'm sorry.
No, it's all of us.
It's all
I'm terrible.
Think about it, Bat Dan. There's like a million different names here.
I know. It's like I remembered Gorian Strand, but I did not remember Darth Maul.
And often when I know if I'm like gonna talk about someone, I'll like do a quick review of all the names I need to remember for the show. So Finnick was not one person I was thinking about. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, did you check the backtrack though, Trey?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Did you need to leave now, Retro?
No, I can stay. You guys can, yeah.
Because I'll let you say your piece. I'll give my theory, and then we'll do scores. So that way, Retro, we can give her the last thing to promote.
No, that sounds good. Yes, no, I was very intrigued by this. Obviously, I think we all knew that Moff Gideon has escaped. I was wondering. I was so my thought process, Retro, was to me that explosion in the left ship looks like it's blasting out, coming out. So I was wondering if there was somebody in there with Moff Gideon that kind of like we have talked about with that one spy girl. What's her name? What's her name, Trey?
You're talking about Kane.
Elia Kane?
Yeah, Elia Kane, yes. Her character is obviously in the know of everything that's going on, where people are going. So I'm wondering if she sent somebody or directed, oh yeah, you should send this person with them, and they helped Moff Gideon escape, because the blast to me looks like it's going outwards in that left picture.
Very good.
So that's what I was kind of wondering. And as far as it being Beskar, I think that it was an attempt to throw us off by how quickly they said, oh, it was Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But on the flip side too, so I don't think it was any of the Mandalorians, but there also is the possibility that the Mandalorians all think Moff Gideon deserved to die, and there is that fraction that Bo-Katan is about to go head to. Maybe they have something with Moff Gideon as well, and maybe they captured him or something along that. That's the only way I could see if it's actually the Mandalorians that did it, although I think that's just a kind of a they throw us a bone in the opposite direction type feel. But something happened. They blasted him out, in my opinion. So is what I was thinking.
I personally think it probably, like, as bland as it sounds, I personally think it is Mandalorians, because we've seen in Star Wars Rebels that there is a faction of the Mandalorians that do work with the Empire. So it makes sense that some, especially when there is no Mandalore anymore and there's still very much a war tribe for the group that does go with them, it makes sense that when the Empire shows up, they would still want to have that warrior mentality. And of course, the Empire is definitely going to be a nonstop, aggressive battalion.
Yeah, they don't give up.
Yeah, so I see it as Bo-Katan is going to go searching, and she's going to find these Mandalorians that are still with the Empire, and they're working with Moff Gideon, Thrawn.
It's the only way I see it being Mandalorians, but like I said, I think it came from inside out.
Yeah, it's all a good theory. But anyways, I love that this episode, action-packed, some craziness happened, but it left us with a lot of mystery about what's to come for the last 3 episodes of season 3. That just has me hooked still. I'm still hooked to this show. I still can't wait for Wednesday, for the new episode. Guys, as you know, we like to give our full score for this episode out of 10, 10 being the best. What would you guys give it?
I would give this a 9 even. I love the episode really a lot. I love the action in it, definitely. I just and I do like some of the storylines that they've been developing up until now, and I do have serious criticisms about some of the logistics of things and more character development. That were the areas where I felt it was lacking. But 9 is my score.
Nice. I mean, 9 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a great score. Savage Bat, how about you?
9.5.
He's saying masterpiece. Borderline masterpiece. I like it. The man's confident. Can't go wrong. Mandalorian can't do no wrong. Super girl Corey. How about you, good sir?
Oh man, this is a tough score for me, because from the get-go, this episode was awesome. I loved it. There's a lot of key elements, storylines, a lot of things were being thrown at us. Like, this episode was like 40-some minutes, and it threw a lot at us. We were in a lot of different places, and we were, Coruscant, Outposts, everywhere. We went everywhere, So it's nice to be able to really, truly see the galaxy and explore around. The missions were cool. But there was definitely things that I think we all can agree on that we wanted more. Some addition, it was a very interesting episode in the sense that they try to jam pack so much in this episode that they left things out that I wanted. So I'm going to give it I'm thinking 9.4.
Wow, that's good.
9.4. Yeah, Corey, I think you and I are simpatico on this one. I loved it for so many reasons. Like the action was great. The themes I was able to catch, to see Zeb, the big cameo for me as a Star Wars fan of, even Rebels I enjoyed. That was awesome. And I love that there's something still kind of like, I'm one of those people that I need the answers. Like I need to know. And if you don't tell me the answers, I'm going to wait until you come out with something that I can get those answers, So there's a lot of question marks I have. The armor is, driving me crazy with like letting Bo-Katan do what she did. I hope that's kind of fleshed out some more. I want to see what, if there was the Mandalorians that, got them out. And also, I just love what's going on with the New Republic, with the fact that they're infiltrated and it's going over their heads. Like, I just can't wait to see that all just blow up in front of them. Yeah. It'll be like frustrating and irritating to watch, but at this point, I can't just wait to see them all go like, where did this come from? Just to see it happen. I think I'm going to give it 9.4 as well, Corey. It wasn't quite a masterpiece because there's a few things that. But
there's answers that they could give us though, Trey, that makes the score jump, right?
It could go up, but as who said it? I saw someone in the chat say it. Trevor H 9.3, but if they don't explain some things, that score could drop. Same thing for me. Yeah. While my initial reaction, I really loved this episode. I enjoyed it. If they don't deliver on some of the question marks I have, and they just kind of leave it be, this could drop to like an 8 something for sure.
Yeah.
Don't do me dirty, Filoni.
Yeah, which I don't think you will.
And I think next episode is going to be directed by Bryce Dallas.
Bryce Dallas Howard's directing next episode.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a damn good episode, man.
Sorry about that.
When Bryce directs an episode, she's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Love Bryce. Well, it's gonna be a fire episode. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna be huge.
It should be amazing.
Yeah. Well, guys, as you know, we like to. First off, Corey, go ahead and go through the scores, and then we'll let every person do their promotion of what they got going on their channel.
Red-Hooded Outlaw gave us a 9.4. The Butler with a 9.2.
Okay.
Batman's Thoughts with a 9.6972455813. Beyond the Night with a 9.3.
Okay.
Oracle's Clock Tower with an 8.6 for me.
I know she said she had issues with the armor. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
9.3, but if they don't explain some things, that score could drop.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 from Domain. 9.2 out of 10 from #Restore the Snyderverse Guy. And a 9.11 for Savage, the Rebel Police.
I dig it. So everyone seems to be, anything above a 7 is a solid score. So the fact that everyone's kind of saying 8.5 and up I agree with that. I think a solid episode for sure. And definitely one of the stronger episodes this season. Now, guys, as you know, we like to show the love for all the people that joined us today. Retro Nerd Girl, she made me so happy. I literally messaged her, I think it was last night. And I was like, Retro, can you do a show with us for Delta Squad? And she responds, this is the way, like, this girl. Like she knows what to say just to make me go, oh yes. Retro, what you got going on?
I was really excited to join you guys tonight. So today. So thank you so much for including me. I do have a channel where I talk about a lot of retro things. And that is retronerdgirl.com. Retro Nerd Girl on YouTube. And then you can also reach me on Twitter. Sometimes I will post my videos on there and a few comments about retro things, and maybe even Snyderverse stuff too.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's about it for me.
Nice. Well, guys, definitely check out her channel. You guys know how I feel about Retro Nerd Girl. She just passed 6,000 subscribers recently. Congrats,
Wow.
Retro.
Thank
It's
you,
freaking
guys.
dope.
Thank
Time to
you.
get this woman to 10K now, because she honestly deserves to be at 100K. Though let's say a million.
Thank you,
know,
Oracle.
let's just make it happen. Retro needs to just take over YouTube. Let's just do that.
Thank
you
you,
know.
Redheaded Outlaw. Thank you, guys. You guys are so sweet to me. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Retro, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Hopefully we can have you back on again soon, just chatting all about the craziness of Star Wars. But it's always great to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Bye, guys. Great to see you guys again.
Great to see you.
See you soon, Retro.
Yeah, see you soon.
Yeah.
My man, Savage Bat. I know you got a show coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got a show tomorrow, midnight UK time for Snyderverse catch up. I had a few delays recently, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up with. This Netflix stuff, just everything that's going on at the moment, really.
Yes.
And and I've just been organising, going to have Retro Nerd Girl on in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Nice.
I've got a guest tomorrow, Byron Lafetti from viralhair.com as well. He's a very good friend of mine. And so it should be a good one for the Bat and the Kryptonian with me and Zodwriter.
Zodwriter, he's killing it over there with on his channel too, doing the Mikey Son and Robert Burnett. That's
a
been awesome.
Great show. That's my favorite. That's my favorite show at the moment.
Yeah, it's so good. And then obviously what you're doing with Zod tomorrow is going to be awesome. A lot going on in the DC world, especially Ben Affleck causing fires.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it's going to be a great time, guys. Make sure you subscribe to my boy, the Savage Bat. You already know the man is part of Delta Squad. He's going to be joining us. Hopefully you're available still next week, right? Are you?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm good.
Sweet. I love to hear that, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, everyone in the chat, and the people who did super chats earlier. Bat Dan, Trevor H. Was there someone else? Was there one more person?
Yeah, Bat Dan and Trevor
H.
Yep,
Like there's one more.
Trevor H.
That's it. All right. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. It always does mean a lot to us when you're supporting us. My replay crew, if you guys are watching this right now, or I guess later, technically it's for you, it's now. For us, it's later. Time, it's irrelevant. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys have smashed that like, share this video on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you can to help spread the word about Delta Squad streams. We want to help promote all these amazing people on our panel and help our channel grow. We want to build this community. I've always said, someone asked me recently, what's my goal for YouTube? And at this point, and I know this is like, Trey, you're at like almost 2K. Like you shouldn't even bring up this number. I want 10,000 subscribers. I want 10,000 subscribers simply because at that point, YouTube allows you to do charity streams. And as you know, on the Bat channel, we like to raise a lot of money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We like to raise money for Feeding America. There's other charities that I would really like to help out too, because that was a big thing about doing YouTube. So spread the word. We want to get to 10,000 subs so that we can start doing these charity streams and YouTube can stop taking their cut on the super chats,
Boo YouTube.
Boo YouTube. You should know better. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to tune in weekly. Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
Same bat channel. See you later, guys. Have a good one.
Later, Batman.
Peace.